Is the vocal still on?
Yeah.
Fantastic. So look at that. We said the first bite. Oh, right, okay. That's me.
That's because Rick's not standing.
I'm not standing there. There we go. Sorry about that. We're showing our camp table. That's part of the crew.
I'll fix that up. Okay.
Yep. Good.
1.8
Get rid of table. No, it's fine.
It's a new moon, so how is this eclipse supposed to work? A very good question.
Oh, yes. Do you want to take that one, Mitch, or you want me to take it?
Cool. No, you take it.
Rightio. Okay.
Pretty face back up there.
So a new moon is basically where we see the same side. Oh, here we go. So a new moon is basically where we see the face of the moon that is not illuminated by the sun. So we see the dark side of the moon. Now, a solar eclipse is caused by the precise alignment of the sun, the moon, and the earth. So the moon casts a shadow. So we're actually in the shadow of the moon, okay? So in Exmouth, and now we're starting to see the eclipse coming into effect, we're actually in the shadow of the moon. So when you look up, we can't see the moon because the sun's so bright, and we're looking at the dark part, the part that's not illuminated. So I hope that explains it a bit better. Oh, is that the H alpha image? Yes, it is. Look at that.
Let me just
Colorize it. Yep. Yeah, I know. Yes. Yeah, sure. All right. Alrighty. So as we're going through with the thing, I do still want to talk about. Got to talk about Western Australia. I love the place, you know. So back to Exmouth. So Exmouth Coral Bay is just amazing. I'm standing here now. Should be looking at the sun, but I'm actually casting my gaze over to the Cape Range National Park and the actual stunning gorges. I mean, we woke up this morning with the sun rising over water. Now, this is a novelty for us Western Australians because normally we see the sun rising over land and then setting on the ocean. But Exmouth is this unique place where you can actually see both. So the sun rising over water and setting over water. In fact, it's the only place in Western Australia you can do that, I think. Don't quote me on that. But anyway, so moving on. Western Australia has got this amazing stuff to offer. Different climates, different scenery, different everything. It is just so vast. Just the sheer size of it is staggering, but there's so much to offer, and it's an ancient landscape. So, yes, if you are planning a trip from overseas to come and visit us, then definitely come and visit us because we've got a lot to offer. And I'll keep spruiking more about it a little bit later on. But I want to turn our attention back to the sun. As we can see now, a bit more of the moon is starting to move in front of the blinding solar disk. And remember, don't look at the sun directly. You just honestly don't do it. You know, it'll be bad for you. If you have the approved eclipse glasses and only use the approved eclipse glasses, well done. If you don't, use a pinhole camera or a colander. Colander works really well. It produces lots of multiple little holes. But if not, just keep watching our live stream. Cool.
Someone is asking if the Earth will illuminate the moon in the process.
Yes, it will. Earthshine.
Earthshine.
You can get the effect of Earthshine onto the moon. And, there we are. Sorry about that. We do get the effect of Earthshine onto the moon during an eclipse. But for all intents and purposes, when you're looking at the total solar eclipse, and if you're fortunate enough to be in the path of totality to do so, it will appear as though someone punched a hole in the sky. There's this bullet hole in the sky, and streaming out from all around the sun is the magnificent solar corona. That is the rarefied gases streaming off the sun at around 400 kilometers a second. That's the solar wind, and it's shaped by the complex magnetic fields generated within the star, within our sun. So it is pretty pretty amazing. And it's a great time to actually study the solar corona as well.
We have another question.
Yep.
Will it get dark in Exmouth, not just focusing on the eclipse itself? Will you be able to see it get darker?
Oh, absolutely, yes. In fact, one of the spectacular things about a total solar eclipse is you'll get a 360-degree sunset. So all around, you'll just see this sunset. It's pretty amazing. And then the sky will be dark enough that you'll actually be able to see bright stars and planets as well. In fact, one of the planets that we'll be able to see today will be, or two of them actually, we'll be able to see Jupiter and Venus up in the skies, and they'll appear very bright. So, but remember to, when you're looking at the eclipse, do so safely, but also really appreciate it, really soak it all in, because this is a rare event. And unless you're an eclipse chaser or an umbraphile, it's not every day you get to experience one of these magnificent celestial phenomenon. Another question, yes.
I have heard astrologists use the term hybrid eclipse. Could you explain what that is, please?
That's okay. Well, astronomers use let me start again. A hybrid eclipse is where you get the two different types of eclipses rolled into one. Now, back in 1999, I travelled up to a place called Greenock, which is just south of Geraldton, to witness an annular eclipse. Now, an annular eclipse is where the moon is slightly farther out of its orbit. So its orbit is elliptical, it's oval shaped. So sometimes a little bit further away from Earth, sometimes a bit close. When it's far out, it appears slightly smaller in angular size, that it doesn't block out the entire disk of the blinding disk of the sun, and it leaves a thin little ring called an annulus. Now, that's called an annular eclipse. So today, this hybrid eclipse, way down in the Southern Ocean, starts off as an annular eclipse. Now, because the moon's distance to Earth in this case is so finely balanced that it will change. So as the moon's shadow races up along the curvature of the Earth, when it gets to Exmouth, viewers in Exmouth will be slightly closer to the moon, which will make the moon slightly bigger. It's enough to block out the entire disk of the sun. So that's a total solar eclipse. And as the shadow then goes racing northward at over 2,700 kilometers per hour, and it goes past Timor-Leste and then up into the Pacific Ocean, it will then revert back to an annular eclipse because of the curvature of the Earth. So we're seeing this phenomenon unfold, and annular eclipses happen once every decade. So this event we have today is particularly rare. I mean, normal solar eclipses occur every 18 months somewhere around the world, but this hybrid eclipse is pretty darn special. Another question?
Why can't we look directly at the solar eclipse?
It's
a very common one.
Because you'll go blind. I mean, if you're in Exmouth, right, and you have totality, the moon completely obscuring the disk of the sun, yes, you can look at totality, but do not use binoculars or do not use telescopes, because you don't know when the timings, you may not know the timings of when the moon will suddenly move out of the way. Now, if you're looking through a pair of binoculars or a telescope and it suddenly moves out of the way, even that tiny little spark of sun peeking out from behind the moon is enough to blind you permanently. So don't do it. Simple, all right? Just don't do it. I mean, if you're looking at it with your glasses, or you take your glasses off for totality, okay, and it starts to move away, then put your glasses back on immediately. For people outside of the line of totality, so Perth and wherever, and put it this way, not Exmouth, right? Then always use your eclipse glasses or a pinhole camera, or just keep watching our live stream. That's probably the safest way, because then we'll be talking and carrying on.
I've got a question here from Christine, unapologetically Southern. What is the countdown for the actual total eclipse to happen? So on screen, folks, this little map here on the right-hand side, where it says C2 minus 74. So C2 stands for second contact. That is when the moon will completely eclipse the sun. So we are 74 minutes and 30-odd seconds away from totality. So for those of you who are jumping over from Facebook, we will be answering questions posted in the comments on Facebook as well. We'll be monitoring both sections, so feel free to drop questions anywhere, folks.
I've got another one.
We'll get another question, yep.
Are those actual sunspots on the sun?
Yes.
Yes, they are.
Let's have a bit of a zoom in on some of those.
That looks really cool.
It's two from yesterday?
So if anyone wants to know what a sunspot is, it is an area of intense magnetic fields that has burst through the solar grains. You see, the surface of the sun is like a pot of boiling water. It has these constant overturning motions, transporting the heat down from the lower divisions down. What do we got? Oh, yes. I keep forgetting the camera.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I'm
Mike.
scooting in between.
Thank
so
you.
can't
Yeah,
scoot
yeah.
forward anymore.
That's okay. There we go. All right. So the surface of the sun has, it's called the photosphere. And it's this constant overturning motion of matter that transports heat energies from down the interface of the radiative zone up to the surface. And in between those cells, magnetic fields can push them out of the way essentially and cool that area down. So what we're actually seeing with that sunspot is a surface cooling of the sun. Now, it doesn't cool by much. The surface of the sun has a temperature of about 5,500 degrees, but the sunspot umbra, which is the dark part in the middle, oh, that's better, has a temperature around 3,000 degrees. So even though it is still very, very hot, it appears dark as a against the background of the sun. But if you were to take that out and chuck it out into space, it'll be glowing a dull red, kind of like a small red giant. Small red dwarf star. That's about the same temperature. Another question?
People in Perth, will it be more of a hybrid because it's not a total eclipse in Perth?
No, you'll get a partial. You will get a partial. Oh, and for those who are watching from Yagan Square, greetings, everyone.
So that's sound in Yagan Square.
No, there's not Yagan Square. Anyway, I'll just wave to everyone. So, look, yes, we will see, for down in Perth, you will see a partial eclipse, and you'll get about 70.7% of the sun's disk being obscured by the moon. But even that less than 30% is still dangerous to look at. It's don't do it without the proper eye vision or the proper techniques, because you'll only hurt yourself and damage your eyes.
Will people in other continents, including Asia, be able to see a total eclipse at all today?
Not today. I'm not sure, but certainly up in towards Papua New Guinea, Timor-Leste, etc., around there, yes, you will later on today. Maybe some of the other Pacific Island nations around there, maybe yes, you might get to see a partial or the annular if you're in the right place at the right time. But as far as we're concerned, you'll have to look up. In fact, one really good website to go to is made by this French guy called Xavier Ubia. That's spelled Xavierub something or another. IER, yes. So it is an amazing website. The guy has put in so much work, and his website has been a huge assistance for us. So yeah, check it out.
How come the moon appears to be moving so incredibly fast? Is another question.
That's a good question. It's because it's a combination of the rotation of the Earth and the movement of the moon around Earth. You see, this is showing like I said, the precise clockwork mechanics, the beautiful mechanics of the solar system, especially the sun, Earth, and moon system. And even though it looks like it's moving across quite fast, it is just an effect of the moon moving in its own orbit and the Earth rotating on its axis.
Another one I just saw. Let me find it again.
Yep.
Will there be a noticeable visual effect in Perth, i.e. will it be less bright or changes in shadows?
Yes, you will notice it will be quite dramatic. It will actually get reasonably dark in Perth. And one really cool effect to do is to stand with your back to the sun and cast your shadow onto the ground. Now, one of your shadows on one side will be ultra sharp. It'll just have these very, very sharp edges. And on the other side, it'll be blurry as heck. So go and check it out. So, as it gets more and more obscured by the sun, stand there with your back to your sun, hands out, fingers out like this, jazz hands, and cast your image onto the ground. And that will just be absolutely magnificent.
How often do eclipses happen?
Every 18 months. So all around the world, the moon will fall, the moon's shadow will fall onto different parts of the Earth. And this is why we get these people, these eclipse chasers that run around the world and stand for, however many seconds or minutes in the shadow of the moon. It is an incredible thing. I'd love to do that. That'll be brilliant.
Will people be able to see any of this in Sydney?
Will people see it in Sydney? I think so. You'll only get a very, very small little nick taken out. I think Melbourne, actually. But Sydney, you're going to get your chance in 2028 because there's going to be a total solar eclipse going right over Sydney. You guys get everything, honestly. But we have to travel much further than Exmouth up north, but I'm actually looking forward to it. We already started planning it now because it's going to happen up near a place called Lake Argyle, or actually a place called Durack, which is only within spitting distance of the gorgeous Bungle Bungles. And I've never been to the Bungle Bungles. The furthest north I've been is to Derby, and Derby was a pretty amazing place. The boab trees, the tidal flats, the amazing sunsets. But I really want to go up further, up to a place called Durack. And out there, the landscape is ancient. It is so old. Wow. My colleague over there, Andrew, and another colleague over here, Michelle, they're both geophysicists, and they can certainly attest to how ancient the landscape is up there. Isn't that right?
Yes, it's extremely ancient.
Yes, there we go.
25-minute years.
Whereabouts are we right now, Rick?
Whereabouts? We're in Exmouth, so about 1,264 kilometres north of Perth, the capital city of Western Australia. And this is one of the amazing coastal towns that dot actually dot the coastline of Western Australia. And each of them has got this amazing offering for tourists and visitors and whoever wants to come along and visit. But Exmouth, for me, always holds a special place in my heart because I made a lot of friends here in the time that I was working up here. And it has a lot of really good memories. But this is certainly something that you guys can do yourself, is actually come up here and make your own memories of the place, because it is incredible. And you just keep on dreaming about coming back to Exmouth because it has this certain magnetism you want to keep coming back to. Oh, hang on a minute. I can't see. Let me have a look. Shit. Try that.
Temporary technical difficulty. We will be back very shortly with Rick back here to answer questions.
Pardon?
Is it on?
Yeah, I've got power. I'll pass that through.
All right. I don't want to.
It's not drifting too fast.
No, it's not. It's not a drift issue. It's primarily a
Are we unmuted again?
Hold your horse.
Okay, hang on a minute.
Okay,
Let's sit over here. There we go.
Yes, I'm between you guys, so you can
Yep.
no longer.
Yeah,
scoot your way
merge.
through
Yeah,
there.
okay.
Okay. We'll wait for Mitch.
Hang on a sec. I want to have a look at the sun.
We're good. Okay.
Okay.
You have a quick peep?
Hey, look at that. That's fantastic.
Problem solved.
So quick.
Where'd mine gone?
I'll probably just use yours.
Yeah, sure.
There we go.
Okay. One question we were
Yep.
asked by a 7-year-old.
Hey.
They would like to know why the outside of the sun looks darker than the inside of the sun on our stream. Why it looks
Oh,
darker or
Further away, so it's dimmer.
Okay. Yes. So the sun is a sphere, right? And as it's a ball, the one part of the sun is a bit closer. The other part you're starting to see the edge. So it actually starts to fade off the amount of light. So yeah, that's it. It's nothing sinister or evil. What was the 7-year-old's name?
Daniel.
Daniel.
Coincidentally enough.
Look at a Daniel right behind me here. That's my son. So hello to Daniel out there. That was an excellent question. You keep those questions up, kiddo, and you'll go far.
We've had a few as well during our
Yep.
minor technical difficulties about how the eclipse affects animals, marine, birds, fish.
Well, I don't know about. I know about birds. Oh, I don't know a lot about birds. I know they fly and sometimes they squawk too loud for their own good. But during a total eclipse or even an annular eclipse, they get really vibed out. Everything gets dark, and for them, that's their body clock saying it's time to go fly up in the trees and roost. It's bedtime. So they're flying around. It's getting darker. They're going, what's going on? And then it starts getting really dark. So they do their natural thing and they fly up into the trees and they start roosting. And I remember at the annular eclipse in '99 that the birds actually went really quiet. They just shut up and there was not a peep from them. And then it was quiet. And apart from people's cameras clicking away, going click, 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 and people cheering and sobbing and doing whatever, the birds were silent. But then as the moon started moving out of the way, exposing the sun, the birds suddenly woke up and they started twittering. They'll probably saying to each other, that was the worst night's sleep I've ever had. And then when it came full, boom, they flew off to do their daily thing.
We're now on HA.
We're now on HA. Fantastic. So we're now switched cameras over to our hydrogen alpha telescope. And just to explain a little bit about our hydrogen alpha telescope, or from now on, it'll be known as HA. We are actually looking at a layer of the sun just above the photosphere. So the photosphere, also known as the light sphere of the sun, so photos meaning light in ancient Greece. We're looking at the chromosphere. Now that's the color sphere of the sun, so it's that layer just above the photosphere. And this is where we really start to see the dynamics of the sun. We see the solar plasmas flowing along the magnetic fields generated by the sunspots. We start to see these almost like ribbons on the surface of the sun. They're called filaments. And they are like clouds. Say again?
There is a very nice filament
Yep.
on view at the moment.
Yeah, there is a nice filament on my colleague Andrew just said. So Mitch is going to zoom in on one of the filaments, and these are like these high-level clouds, and they appear darker because they're slightly cooler than the surface. So just like the sunspots. But these filaments are hundreds of thousands of kilometers in length, and they are big. We also get to see with the H-alpha telescope around the limb of the sun, we get to see prominences. So essentially these leaping, I wouldn't say flames, but that's the closest analogy I can come up, off the surface of the sun, and they can extend out, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of kilometers out into space. In fact, if one lets go and gets chucked out into the solar system, then it can cause a solar storm. It's a coronal mass ejection. And you get these billions of tons of plasma, solar plasma, flung out into the solar system. And if it happens to interact with Earth and its magnetic fields, we can get a rise of the wonderful phenomenon known as the aurora borealis for the northern hemisphere and the aurora australis for the southern hemisphere. Next question.
Another one we had actually before we moved to hydrogen alpha, but it works still as well. Which way is the eclipse actually going? The telescope view was showing it coming from the right, but the graphic shows it from the top. And it's now changed perspective now that we've changed to the hydrogen alpha.
Ah, yes.
So this is the mirror with a star diagonal problem.
Yes. Mitch, you take that one.
Okay, so the reason that we see the moon coming from different angles is because of, so firstly, between the two telescopes, the white light image that we're providing, the camera is looking directly through the telescope, whereas the hydrogen alpha utilizes something called a diagonal, which basically bends the optical path 90 degrees using a mirror just to change the axis of everything. There are important components for that hydrogen alpha telescope, extra filters and whatnot, in that little diagonal that are important to have. We couldn't use it without it. So we do get a mirror image as a result. Now, the orientation of the map is purely just based on how we see it in the sky. In terms of what direction is it actually traveling in, if I just look at the thing with my solar
Let's do
glasses,
that.
it appears that it is moving from the top of the sun down.
Which is what the graphic in the bottom right-hand corner is showing.
Yeah,
That's
so-
the way it's actually traveling.
What you're seeing in the graphic is reflective of real life. Is the reason that we don't see it quite aligned in the cameras is just due to the orientation of the sensors. Any more questions?
What is the big crack in the sun?
What is the big crack in the sun? So that's not a crack as such. That there is a prominence or a filament. So that is a big jet of plasma that is erupting from the solar surface. The reason that it appears darker, there was a number of them that we can see on there. The reason it appears darker is it is much cooler than the surrounding plasma. So those are jets that are just like the ones we saw around the limb that are jumping off the sun. They're jumping off the sun. They're just moving towards us.
Anymore.
Your Eclipse glasses. Does it appear too bright? It's too bright. So
Well,
I
it's
just,
pretty bright, but it's also
yeah. See, I just have a quick look and that's it. Ah.
Got a lot of people from Uzbekistan. Hello, Uzbekistan.
Really? Wow.
It's because there's a Beck here, that's why.
Oh, okay.
To support me.
Who's Beck?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lots of people from Uzbekistan.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Well,
If you have a question, please translate it into English.
Yes. Yes.
hi, my name is Brady. I am 10 years old. I have a question.
Hey, Brady.
Why does your shadow become sharp on one side and blurry on the other?
That's a good question.
does it?
Yeah, it does.
On one side.
On one side.
So they get sharper.
Brown shadows.
They get sharper.
No, I noticed it. I noticed at a partial eclipse it actually got fuzzy.
On one side and sharp on the other.
Yes.
This is an experiment that we can
Okay.
try.
Yeah, I guess
I'll
we're
tell
gonna,
you what,
we're
we'll
gonna figure out this
verify that.
eclipse.
We know it gets sharper, but
Yes.
Very
Well,
cool.
tell you what, you've just set us up a science experiment, and Brady, thank you very much for that question, and we will get back to you on that one.
you can tell him why it might.
Refraction. So it's to do with the Earth's atmosphere and the moon.
Extended chance.
Yes.
Well, I'm not going to go into extended sources.
Yeah.
Half-degree disk, right? So
Oh, okay.
where you get rays.
Oh, okay. Yes, it's all a moving of the rays of the sun around the moon and all sorts of things like that. So, yes, we'll explain it some way soon in more coherent fashion.
So we explained what the kind of dark part on the sun was. What are the lighter spots on the sun surface that we're seeing?
They are called plage, which is the French word for beach. Except this is not a beach you want to go to, not like the beaches here in Exmouth, which are absolutely stunning. If you go to the plage on the sun, not even wearing 50+ trillion sunblock is going to help. You're going to have a really bad day. So, but these are active regions on the surface of the sun. So where you have a sunspot, usually plage are associated around these sunspots, and we can see them on the H-alpha image. So yeah, that's what those white spots are.
We have a 6-year-old named Blake asking, how did you become an astronomer and did you study in Perth?
Bang your head all
Excellent question. Well, this is a good question. So I studied. I studied on my own, really. So I'm self-taught, but I have worked at a number of observatories, and I've also taught at university. But the best way to become an astronomer or anything, if you want, especially in science, is to really love the subject. I mean, you've got to be passionate about it, because when you are focusing on that area of science, then that's what you do. That is what you do best, and you have that drive to do it. So if you want to be an astronomer or an astrophysicist, basically have a love for the night sky, a love for space and astronomy and all that kind of stuff, and just keep learning more and more and more about it. Allow it to consume you, okay? But also it helps to have a good background in maths, physics, and chemistry. Definitely those three would help. Oh, and a good grasp on your local language. Because if you can't convey ideas or talk to fellow academics or scientists, then yeah, you're not going to do too well. So you really got to brush up on all those subjects, and that's it. You'll be cool.
Yeah, I think that's
Someone seems to have timings wrong, so we'll just have to clarify for them.
Yep.
How do we get a solar eclipse at night? I'm used to those happening at the day and lunar eclipses at night.
It's probably nighttime where they are, and
Yep.
they're watching the stream. Currently, It is daytime in
It
Australia.
is 10:35 a.m.
Whereabouts?
Just a show.
Whereabouts is this person from?
Doesn't say.
Oh, it doesn't say. So the
No.
person who asked that question, please tell us where you're from,
Yes.
and that will make a lot more sense. We'll illuminate it. Ha
Just
ha
a
ha.
bit of a pan on the site here.
Yep.
So we have
Oh.
Rick down there.
Oh.
We have some of our other friends, Andrew Lockwood and Professor Joe Eisen
Wow.
in America. Over there, we've got some guys from the Shanghai Planetarium. Just over here to the side of us, we've got Perth Observatory and another number of other research teams down the back there. So quite a bit going on today.
And this is only the small crowd. You used to see the crowd over by the public area. That is just like monstrous. The question? Yep.
Hi, I'm Kai, and I'm 9. I have a question.
Sure.
How far is the sun and how far is the moon away right now?
Oh, awesome question. That is a brilliant question. Thank you, Kai. So what we've got, the sun is approximately 150 million kilometers away. Now, look, it takes the light from the sun 8 minutes and 46 seconds traveling at the speed of light to go from there to us. So when we if we snap our fingers and the sun was to disappear for no good reason, we wouldn't notice it disappearing for 8 minutes and 46 seconds after we snap our fingers. So 150 million kilometers away. Now, what was the second part of the question? Distance to the
How
moon?
far is the sun and how far are the moon right
Okay,
now? How far
so
are
the
each?
moon is around a little under 380,000 kilometers away. Okay, so that's the average distance because it's an oval orbit. Now, here's the thing, why we see eclipses. Because we know that the moon is much, much smaller than the sun. In fact, it's 400 times smaller in diameter than the sun. Now, the moon is also 400, or about a little under 400 times closer to Earth than the sun. And that's something called forced perspective. So, you know, you've had those friends who've gone to Paris or to Rome or to Pisa or somewhere like that, and they take, it's not bad, it's not, you know, enough that they take a selfie of them with the Eiffel Tower in the background. No, they have to do this, okay? And they put the Eiffel Tower in their fingertips and they take a picture. Now, we all know that the Eiffel Tower is not that big, okay? But because it's far away, it appears that it is held into the two fingers of the person taking the selfie. Now, that is forced perspective. And that's exactly what we're seeing with the sun and the moon playing out today. The moon being a lot closer and moving in front of the disk of the sun, and they happen to match up perfectly.
Can you please explain the corona effect during the totality of the eclipse?
Well, the corona is the constant outstreaming of rarefied gas, or charged particles from the surface of the sun. We know it as solar wind. And the corona it's really weird. It's a little beyond our understanding as to why we have this sudden increase in temperature from, say, 5,500 degrees on the surface of the sun to the coronal temperature being about 1 to 2 million degrees. It's quite puzzling. And what? Yeah, plasma. Andrew's waving his fingers around mystically, going plasma. Anyway, that's a scientific.
Magnetohydrodynamics.
There you go. So, but the corona is actually shaped by the complex magnetic fields generated in the sun. You see, the sun has these magnetic fields that, like on Earth, they run from the north to the south pole, but they're actually inside the sun. And the sun has something called differential rotation. So the equator spins faster than the poles. And this causes the magnetic field lines over a period of time to become entangled, to warp and then become entangled. One of my past students actually dared use the word tangulation, which does not exist. Don't even click up about it. So yes, so the magnetic field lines become entangled and they become unstable and they burst through the surface, and we see them as sunspots. And of course, sunspot activities increase every 11 years and we go through something called solar maxima. But the corona is the constant outstreaming of charged particles from the sun. What do we got? Ooh.
How weird does it feel to do astronomy during the day?
Not weird at all.
No,
it's great because we can look at the sun during the day and study the corona and the surface of the sun and sunspot numbers and all that, and then we go and have a bit of a break, and then we can go and start observing at nighttime. So what a great job. You can work 24/7. Doesn't feel weird at all.
All capitals. Very important question.
Oh.
What happens if you look at an eclipse with your bare eyes for a split second?
It's going to hurt for a split second. You'll just go, oh, that's really bright. as in the partial eclipse, like now, I wouldn't do it because the sun's bright. Now, thankfully, your eyes are smarter than you are, and your instant reaction will be to close your eyes and turn away. It's called your blink response. Okay, so if you're outside on a nice sunny day and someone flashes a mirror, or you catch a glint off, say, a nice shiny car or whatever, and you get the sunlight in your eyes, the instant reaction is to shut your eyes and turn away because they're protecting themselves from your silliness or your accidental circumstance. But during a partial eclipse, that blink response goes away, and that's where the danger really lies, because people see it as, oh, it's not so bright anymore, I can stare at it. But still, that small amount of sun peeking out from behind the moon is still enough to permanently damage your eyes. It's called solar retinopathy, and yeah, it is not good. No cure for it.
What is the temperature in Exmouth at the moment, and is the temperature going to drop as the moon moves?
Yes.
It's actually currently 26, and it feels like 25 with a maximum of 30 today.
It feels like 25. You're kidding? It feels like 45 for me.
Oh,
I'm ready to burst into flames.
Oh, no, it doesn't.
You were born on the sun.
Was born on
Karatha. So, yes, there will be a noticeable temperature drop as the sun completely obscures the sun. Some people have estimated to be dropping as low as 6 to 10 degrees. It's pretty insane.
I believe it's 10 degrees Fahrenheit is the expected temperature drop, which I believe is roughly 6 degrees Celsius.
Yep. About the same temperature as 3 football fields and a US southern alligator.
We have been asked, how do eclipse glasses protect your eyes?
So the eclipse glasses, depending which ones you have, we've got these ones here made by Barter Planetarium. Barter Planetarium? Barter Planetarium. And this material is this special material called mylar with an aluminium deposit on it, and this blocks out all the harmful ultraviolet and infrared radiation, and it also blocks out something like 99.9998% of the sun's visible light. But I'm looking through these ones here, and it is still hazy and a bit bright, but I just have a quick glance every now and then and go, wow, that's really exciting, and put it away. I wouldn't, keep the whole stare all day at it because, it's probably not that good. But just have a quick glance every now and then with your eclipse glasses.
Yes,
and
binoculars in front of them.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Do not do this and then get binoculars and stick them up like this because it'll burn straight through. You've done the experiment with the magnifying glass and setting things on fire with the rays of the sun. That's exactly what's going to happen to your eclipse glasses and go pouring straight into your eyes. So do not do that. And don't even think of sticking them on the front of your binoculars either. Just the best way to do it is just to get your eclipse glasses, stick them on your face and look up. And that's it. So there you go. It's all good.
Here's a history one for you.
Yep.
When was the first time a solar eclipse was recorded scientifically and understood for what it was?
Ooh, that's a very good question.
That's an excellent question.
Is that a we come back to that question after we Google frantically?
Damn right. Yes, I have no idea.
Come back to the history question.
I know the first. So it's got to be before the 1800s. Oh no, there were sketches. There were certainly sketches done.
I've taken a photo of the question, so we have it to come back to.
Yeah, but there was.
Make sure you remember the guy's name.
Oh, I have a photo of the question.
Oh, beautiful.
But there was sketches of solar eclipses, etc. In fact, it was Captain Cook. No, Captain Cook came down for the transit of Venus. Completely different. But certainly they have been recorded on pen and ink. In fact, there's one picture of an artistic rendition of the crucifix of certain deities being nailed to a cross. And there happens to be a picture of one with the sun going black, the thing moving in front. But that can't happen because Easter is calculated after the second full moon or the full moon, the second Sunday of the full moon after whatever in April. I don't know, something like that.
He wants to sign.
So I've got an answer for the when was the first recorded eclipse.
Cool.
It's not the first scientifically recorded one, but this is the answer from NASA.
Yep.
The oldest recorded eclipse in human history may have been on November 30th, 340 BCE. A series of spiral-shaped and circular petroglyphs were found at the Loughborough megalithic monument in County Meath, Ireland. Petroglyphs are rock carvings made by pecking into stone, usually with another rock.
Wow.
And
that's cool.
We will find the scientific recording one. We'll get that number eventually.
Yeah. No, that's great. I'm going to try and remember that. Yep, another question.
Someone's asking, why can't we see the moon's outline?
Well, the sun's so bright.
Because the sun, we can. It's the silhouette of the moon.
Yes.
I'm going to take about 15 more minutes of questions, then I'm going to hand over to you guys because I've got to race off and do an interview with Channel 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I've got to race off and do an interview with Channel 9.
Then, I guess. Are we seeing the moon blocking the sun or just the moon's shadow over the sun?
Well,
So the moon blocks the sun and the shadow blocks the light from the earth.
we get the shadow on Earth. So it's like if you're sunbaking and someone stands right over your head and blocks out the sun, well, you're getting your own personal eclipse, but it may not be as spectacular. Well, it depends who it is. But certainly, we can see the moon. We just see the silhouette of it as it's moving across appears to be moving across the surface of the sun.
I have another question
Yep.
for you from someone called Nell.
Nell.
Hi from Perth. We're having an eclipse party.
Hey.
My sister wants to know if Rick is single.
I'm very flattered. Thank you very much. No, I'm not. I am married. See, I've got the ring of conformity.
His son's in the background.
And my son is in the background. But I feel very flattered. Thank you.
My name is Tiffany. My question is, what is the marks on the sun?
Okay. Mitch, I'll hand over to you that one.
Yep. So those marks that we're seeing at the sun currently are sunspots. So they are electromagnetic storms on the solar surface. I think we've just lost the bulk of them. Oh, there's a couple more. Let me just quickly zoom in on some of them. We lost the big ones. So just here in the middle of the screen above my cursor, is the remnants of there's a little tiny sunspot. So those electromagnetic storms, they're actually cooler than the surrounding plasma. So they emit about a quarter of the light of the surrounding gas, hence why they appear black. But those are just areas of intense magnetism. As we're approaching solar maxima, just like the Earth rotates on its axis, the sun does so as well, but it rotates at different speeds depending on your latitude on the sun. This difference in rotation rates across the different latitudes causes an entanglement of all of the fields, all of the magnetic fields in the sun, and we get these areas of intense magnetism, which form these sunspots.
Yes.
If we were sitting on the moon looking at the Earth right now, could we see the shadow of the moon going over the Earth?
That's a good question. Yes, you can. Yes, you will. So at this point in time, if you were standing on, say, the Sea of Tranquility where Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin touched down back in 1969, and for all the lunar conspiracy theorists out there, yes, we did. There's proof. Anyway, I just have to, anyway. But so if you're standing there and looking back, you will see the shadow. It will be very, very small, but you'll also be able to see another effect called penumbra, which is not the actual deep shadow. It's the sort of the outer area of the shadow. And you'll be able to see it moving along the surface of Earth. And you'll just see this noticeable darkening on the surface, which will be that'll be a really cool thing for future astronauts. So there's some kids out there who might actually be lucky enough who will live on colonies on the surface of the moon and actually get to witness a solar eclipse, but in reverse. So rather than looking up at the sun, you'll be able to look down at the Earth and actually see the shadow racing across the surface of Earth. Here we go. We've got the heavyweight coming in. We've got Professor Joseph Eisen from the University of Texas coming in. Please take a seat, Joe.
Yeah, actually, a little bit of trivia. One of the Apollo crews did actually observe that solar eclipse where the Earth was the eclipsing body.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, man, was I jealous.
Oh, yeah, it made me jealous too.
How cool can you get? Anyway, I will go back to my...
Thank you, Joe. Yes?
Why can't people see this solar eclipse in other areas? Why is it only here?
Again, this highlights the precise mechanics of the solar system, or the Earth, Moon, Sun system. The shadow is only certain width. In this case, totality is only 41 kilometers wide. And of course, anything outside of that, which can extend to a few thousand kilometers, you can see partial phases. So from memory, I think Victoria only gets about 20%, while, say, Perth gets 70%. The closer you are to that line of totality, the more you will get. But if you're in, say, New Zealand or in India or South Africa or anywhere like that, or Europe, you won't be able to see anything because it's just too narrow.
Momentarily, the stream will actually show a map of the different eclipse paths.
Thank you. Paths.
For the next 10 years. So the map that's currently up on screen shows all of the upcoming eclipses from 2021 until 2030. So we can see here where my cursor is lying, there is a line, a very thin line that runs across the coast of Western Australia and nicks across the edge of the Exmouth Peninsula. That is the eclipse that we are currently experiencing today. You can see later, about 5 years from now, 2028, there is another much bigger total solar eclipse that passes across Australia and actually goes over the Sydney CBD and again up past the northern parts of Western Australia. For that eclipse, the locations we've picked out in the northern of WA, we're expecting around 5.5 minutes worth of totality, as opposed to the 62 seconds that we'll get here in Exmouth today.
We have a 6-year-old called Beanie who wants to know what you're most excited to see. What you're most excited about.
Oh, wow.
That was meant to be the quick question.
Yeah, no. There's lots of things that I want to see in this. I want to see the weird shadows forming on the ground, and I want to see just the effects of people, but I also want to see totality, because this is my first total solar eclipse. I've been to annular eclipses, I've been to partial eclipses, but this is the one that I could easily travel to, and traveling to a great place too. Now, to actually see when the when the moon completely obscures the solar disk, people say it looks like someone has shot a hole in the sky, and there's this dark hole surrounded by this glorious solar corona, the sun's crown, and everything will be dark. And seeing the 360-degree sunset, it's going to be sensory overload. In fact, I'll probably just, I don't know, start crying.
And one more question before you have to run off. Does UV under the total eclipse disappear? Will you still be able to get sunburnt during a total eclipse?
No. So for the 62 seconds of totality, you will not get sunburn. So if you want to take in a quick round of nude sunbathing, then that's your opportunity. But after that, then you'll have to slip, slop, slap, or even put on some clothes, which is probably a lot easier. And better
filters on, filters off moment.
That's it, yeah.
Unfortunately, it goes dark, so you might not see it.
Yeah, that's it. You'll see the outline. Anyway, one more question.
Okay. They say other planets will be more prominent to see when the eclipse happens. Is this true? And is that going to be true for those of us where it's becoming evening already, for example, California? So can we see planets here, and could you see them in America?
The planets for us, they rise up at roughly the same time, or not the same time, but so here we go. So in California, you're what, 16 hours behind? Is that right, Joe? I think it's about 16. That's okay. So
I think in the mountain states now it's 8:53 p.m.
Okay, 8:53 p.m. and that's the Mountain Standard Time.
Daylight time.
Okay.
San Diego at 7:53.
Okay, San Diego 7:53. That's okay. No worries. So, you won't be able to see. Oh, actually, if you wait till how am I going to answer this? The best way to actually do it, if you want to see planets, so Venus should be visible just after sunset. Okay, Jupiter has already set. But if you wake up early in the morning, you will be able to see Jupiter rising, and then you won't be able to see Venus until the following evening. But we're very lucky here because Jupiter is on one side of the sun and Venus is on the other. So as the moon obscures the sun and becomes dark here, we'll actually be able to see both at once because they're close to the sun at the moment.
Do you have time for another?
Yes, I've got time for one more.
Okay. Let me find you one.
That's okay.
Don't you lies. Apparently our clock stopped.
Our clock has stopped.
Apparently I just saw someone say the clock stopped.
Fix the clock there.
Okay, all good. Is the temperature on the moon going to increase because of the
No.
eclipse?
No. It's
no more
so the daytime side of the moon kicks up to about 150 degrees Celsius, and the nighttime side drops down to approximately minus 170 degrees below zero. So there's a huge temperature difference, and it doesn't matter whether the moon is moving in front of the sun or away. It will still be really, really hot in daytime or really, really cold at nighttime. Simple as that.
Anything else?
No, that's it. I
Okay.
have to go, but
Make your seat.
there's going to be a live cross from Channel 7 and Channel 9 in very soon, and I'll probably see you on the box. So you can watch it twice at once. So I'll see you soon, guys.
If you hadn't had enough of Rick, you can see more of him there. Mitch, I have a question for you.
Yep, fantastic.
How are solar eclipses and their paths calculated?
How are solar eclipses and their paths calculated? Very good question. So thankfully, what I'll do is I'll just swap this over.
We're just reorganizing seats for a moment while Rick is gone.
When it gets
Transition that. We'll just kill our
Mitch,
faces.
hey, Mitch,
Beautiful.
when
Can I
it
keep
comes
this?
to totality, just scream out totality. So
Yep.
at the time, and then Daniel will start his run with the photos.
Roger.
Excellent. All right. See you guys
Fantastic.
soon.
Good luck.
Keep the cameras on.
Okay.
See you guys.
Um,
Best of luck, gentlemen.
Keep them on.
Yeah, just maybe you move back one so you can be heard easy.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good.
Okay.
I'll move across. So, sorry, question again. How do we predict solar eclipses? Or how do we know where they're going to cross?
Yes, how
Yes.
are their... Let me get the exact wording for you. How are the solar eclipses and their paths calculated?
So,
When and where?
the beautiful thing about the solar system is that it works just like clockwork. We can very, very accurately predict for dozens of years into the future exactly where planets are going to be, where objects are going to lie in relation to other objects, purely because their orbits are stable. We know the orbits of planets. We know where they're going to be. We know the speed at which they travel around. So all we can really do is just, for lack of a better term, just hit fast forward on the clock and just see where they're going to lie.
Perfect.
As to how they actually sit down with a pen and paper and calculate the exact track map of an eclipse, I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head. But we can tell exactly when these kind of things are going to occur. We have a solar eclipse roughly every 18 months or so, somewhere on
Do you want to turn the camera back on and sit next to me, maybe? Do you want to... Easy, easy, easy.
Any more questions, folks?
I'm having a look for you. People are saying thank you to the GDC for organising the stream. Thank you very much. It's very nice.
Thank you guys for tuning in, and also a big thank you to Tourism Western Australia for helping us out and getting some fuel to get up here. It was a bit of a trek.
Question: when the eclipse starts, what stars and planets will be visible from the telescope?
So we won't be able to see anything from the telescope itself.
The telescope is only for the sun.
Yeah, the telescope itself is purely for the sun. Swap seats.
You're apparently having an audio issue.
Yep, I'm seeing that now.
Audio is doubling, apparently.
Doubling? Yep.
Yep.
I'm just jumping on that.
We'll fix the audio problem. Yeah, it's echoing.
Should be sorted with the audio problems now.
Yep.
Beautiful. Swap spots. I'll jump in the
Easy.
ugly mug spot. Just keep
Yeah.
hitting me with questions.
Yep. And I'll keep an eye on if anything starts flashing at me on there.
Beautiful.
Yeah, scoot over a little bit. Me join you. Excuse me.
Okay, so planets are going to be visible during totality. So through the telescope, we're not going to be able to see anything, unfortunately. The field of view is basically cut around the sun. It wouldn't make a whole lot of sense for us to kind of go out and look at the planets during a total solar eclipse, as the eclipse is kind of the main thing we're trying to focus on here. We can see the planets basically all year round whenever it's nighttime. Visually here, though, standing on the ground, we will see Jupiter next near the moon, and we'll see Venus to the northeast down on the horizon.
Does the solar eclipse affect other planets?
Does the solar eclipse affect other planets? No. No.
Can other planets get solar eclipses?
Can other planets have a solar eclipse? If they have a moon, so a great example would be Jupiter. We often see many of the Galilean satellites, so Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto, moving in front of the planet Jupiter, and oftentimes, even through a relatively modest amateur backyard telescope, you can see the shadow of those moons as they pass across the Jovian surface. If you were to be sitting inside of that shadow, you would experience a solar eclipse on Jupiter.
We have an 11-year-old asking, how long will it be dark for?
How long will it be dark for? So totality for this location here in Exmouth will last for a total of 62 seconds. So just a minute.
The sun and the moon being the same relative size, is that just a very cool coincidence?
Yes.
When was the last total solar eclipse?
The last total solar eclipse.
Mhm.
Off the top of my head, I can't recall.
Probably 18 months ago.
No, I believe
Oh.
the last major one was in 2018.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that, but I think ballpark it was 2018,
We've
and it was
also,
somewhere in America.
we've also got a question. Will there be a drop in temperature in next month during totality or already?
So we are expecting a drop in temperature. I think you said it was between 6 to 10 degrees
It's roughly
Celsius.
10 degrees Fahrenheit, which I believe is 6 degrees Celsius, but
Yep.
we haven't noticed anything yet.
Yeah.
I can feel it now.
You reckon it's a little bit cooler? It's very comfortable.
And
Yeah.
You know if the lights changed a lot.
Yeah.
You know, now you mention it, it has.
It's golden hour sort of light.
Yeah,
Ooh.
it's not. You
I'm
can
gonna
look to
go
the
take a
horizon and it doesn't hurt your eyes.
Yeah. I keep testing how high I can lift my eyesight. Will we be adjusting the view to see the corona?
Most definitely. So at just before totality, you'll hear a lot of commotion in the background here. People screaming, filters off, filters off. Everyone will be running around like headless chooks, trying to get their telescopes ready. So currently,
Ask you to
the
speak slower.
speak slower.
Yes.
Beautiful. So currently, the view that you guys are seeing on the screen is our white light telescope. So it's just a regular old refracted telescope with a special filter cap that goes on the end. During totality, we remove that filter cap, and then it'll be me sitting here in my little tent doing a mad rush to make sure I got all of the camera settings right, just so you guys can see all of the corona around the exterior of the sun.
Speaking of camera settings,
Yep.
is starting to get chopped off a little bit at the top.
It's not-
Anyone that reported that the sun is getting cut off a little bit at the top, we're fixing that up right now.
Well, that's the moon.
The moon's
I
making
was
a
just-
flat line now.
just doing a little bit of a wiggle out of frame there. Just a wiggle out of frame.
This is an interesting one.
Yep.
If there is an X-class flare or coronal mass ejection while the moon is between us, will it deflect it?
Okay. No. The short answer is no.
It'd be good to see the
It'd be
signs
killer to see.
wouldn't it?
But it's more of a timing thing. So the time, Andrew, do you know off the top of your head how long it takes for the
It's days.
days? Yeah. So if there had been an X-class flare a couple of days ago, and we were expecting that material to arrive at the time that the moon was passing in front of the sun, perhaps we'd experience something. But it's not gonna protect us in any way.
To anyone asking, is it possible to keep the camera on us so we can see the change in light? Yeah, I imagine
Yep.
that.
Yep.
that camera,
You should have a little camera
Yep.
just on our.
that little
on our
face
heads.
cam will stay on the entire time, so you will see the shadow physically pass over us.
During
and then out again.
totality, I have a nice wide field camera as well, so you'll see the corona and the shadow of everything around us as well.
Is whether a solar eclipse is total or not affected by where in the rotation around the sun the Earth is, since the path is elliptical rather than circular? So sometimes we're a bit closer or a bit farther.
No, it's affected by the distance, or it is partially by Earth's distance to the sun, but it's also the moon's distance to Earth as well. So it is a factor of both our location against the sun and the moon's location against the Earth.
Nowhere in America can see planets. Can
Seeing planets in America at the moment, I'm not particularly sure. Not particularly sure.
Does anything happen if a solar eclipse lasts for a day, like way more than 4 hours? If so, what happens?
That can't happen. That doesn't work like that.
We get very worried.
Yes, we get very, very, very concerned.
It still looks bright out. Does the darkness come on gradually or does it happen suddenly?
It's so at the moment of totality. We should see here a sweeping shadow across the landscape, traveling very rapidly. But now, as we sit here, it's getting cooler.
It is actually. I might need my jacket for the
Okay,
actual
yeah, it is-
totality. I might need a hoodie.
It is getting cooler. You'll see a slow ramp up of darkness, and then at the moment of totality, it'll be a kind of whoosh across the landscape as the shadow of the moon travels across.
It is currently 11:04.
11.
How many minutes and from now until the total eclipse happens?
So the countdown on screen, so that C2, the minus number, C2 means second contact. And basically that is how many minutes we have left until totality occurs.
What should people be looking at? The orange and black sun or the yellow and grey sun? I'm not sure where the quote-unquote action is.
Okay, so the yellow and black sun is just a little simulator to show where the sun is going to be sitting.
That's the real angle that the sun's coming down over.
If you were to sit here in real life and look at the sun, that is exactly what you'd see. The orange-looking image, the big picture, that is the live image coming from our telescope. So that is, for lack of a better term, the action.
Will we be able to see any stars during the totality here? Not through the telescope, just in general.
Good question. I'll keep an eye out.
We'll report back.
We'll give feedback on that.
About 26 minutes when it's done. Will it be as dark as night here in Perth?
No. So it won't be as dark as night. You'll definitely notice it gets dimmer, but it won't be as dark as night. Here in Exmouth, we'll experience a bit of a strange feature where we have a 360-degree sunset. So just like you'd see in the west, obviously for us here in Western Australia, or anywhere on Earth really, as the sun begins to set, you'll see that lovely orange and purple coloration. We will get that 360 degrees for this location for the duration of totality.
How do we measure the distance of planets?
How do we measure the distance of planets? Yeah, with big tape measure. No, not with a big tape measure. Not with a big tape measure.
The biggest tape measure known to man.
We use something called parallax, where we can look at the basically trigonometry is how we work it out. These kind of measurements work for things that are relatively close to us, up to about 1,000 light years away. And then when we're looking at much more distant objects, we use different methods. We use things like standard candles, things like Cepheid variable stars or type 1a supernovas.
This one. Why does the sun appear to be more red now than it was before?
More red now than it was before. So the reason that it appears more red now than before is because it is that is an effect caused by the camera. Because the moon is now moving across the front of the sun, there's less light coming from the sun. The color that you're seeing through the camera there, as it gets darker, it's going to appear deeper in red. As it's brighter, it appears more yellow in color. So it's purely just an effect from the camera. I can adjust it and ramp up the gain on the camera a bit more, and you'll see it turn more yellow again, but everything's pretty hunky-dory where it is now.
Why does totality time vary? 1 minute for this eclipse, but 5 minutes in 2028.
5 minutes for 2028. Yeah. That is a good question.
Is that Rick?
That's a Rick question.
The question about the timing difference, I'm taking a photo, and when Rick returns, we'll ask Rick.
We've got that one on notice, so hang around. We will get an answer for you for that one.
My phone gallery is full of questions.
Yeah. Rick's the celestial mechanics expert. I'm the technology whiz.
That's all happening.
Apparently, it's starting to get dimmer in Perth now, is what a few people have mentioned.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. Has the temperature dropped in Perth at all?
This is a very good one. Have we noticed it quieter yet? Birds. And I think it is. I think it has gotten quieter. Because up here this time of year, you would hear birds, and I haven't.
We are next to a lot of people, so there is... if anything, for where we're currently sitting, it's going to get louder just before the moment as everyone's running around screaming filters off.
When you see the timer hit maybe 30 seconds, you might want to turn your volume down a little bit because we're going to start screaming probably.
Yeah.
Orders will be barked.
Yes.
Yeah. Headphone users beware.
Yes. It's already noticeably dimmer in Perth. The light is what you'd expect half an hour or so before sunset in Perth.
Yeah, we're getting a similar experience up here in Exmouth as well. Am I sitting in frame?
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, you're good. No one. You might want to sit up a little straighter, just because we set this for Rick.
I am short. I think I'll just tilt this guy down a bit.
Yeah, we're set for Rick height.
Bit better. Yes, fantastic.
Perfect. What's the exposure setting the camera has to be on to be able to properly look into the sun? I think that's more a filter.
I'm going to have to ask for that question to be clarified a little bit more, because if you're talking about during totality, when we can see the corona, or if you're talking about just in general with a filter, yeah, I need to ask for a little bit more clarification on that question,
please. To come through.
It is dimmer here.
Yeah, it actually is. It's hitting from a different angle. Yeah. Is the moon covering the sun as we speak right now? And if so, why isn't it dark yet?
So yes, it is actively covering the sun as we speak. I quite literally just looked at it.
Let me just...
Why isn't it completely dark yet? Because the entire moon hasn't covered up. This is something that you could try at home with a light bulb. If I have a light bulb and I place my hand halfway in front of it, the entirety of the room doesn't go dark. It is not until I completely cover said light bulb, the whole room will go dark. that is exactly what we're waiting for with the moon. Once the moon completely covers the disk of the sun in approximately
19.5 minutes.
19.5 minutes, then it'll be completely dark for about 62 seconds, and then it will not be completely dark as it pops out the other side.
For the exposure setting question,
Yes.
both, honestly, either or.
Both?
Yeah.
Okay, so give me 2 seconds and I'll tell you exactly what my settings are right now.
We'll check the settings.
Okay.
But part of the important part of pointing a telescope at the sun regardless is that there is a filter in the middle of it. We have not just pointed any old telescope directly at the sun. We have very particular bits in the telescope right now to allow it to point directly at the sun.
Can I do a shout out to the preschoolers at Jelly Beans? They are all
Aw.
very interested. Hello to Jelly Beans. Hope you guys are enjoying your eclipse.
Cadbury, haven't they come to us?
I think they may.
I think they've come to us up at work before.
Fantastic. I'll just quickly carry that out. Oh, nothing is there.
We're just getting the camera settings up.
Yeah.
Someone's asking if it's going to be scary.
Absolutely not.
No. Unless you're really, really, really scared of
Yeah.
the dark.
Unless
if
you're
you're really
scared
scared
of
of the dark, it'll be scary for about 62 seconds.
Shut your eyes and count to 66.
Oh, neat.
Okay. So camera settings. So the camera that we're currently using for this view is a ZWO 294 MC or color camera. Currently my exposure is 0.4 milliseconds and my gain is set at 200. During totality, I dare say I'll be cranking that exposure time up significantly just to get as much detail in the corona as possible.
Easy. Do you want to go back to camera and come back in?
We'll go all the way to dark sky if you want.
Yeah.
Go all the way to dark sky?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Full noise limit.
Come on back over.
Yeah.
Just finding more questions. I have a couple for when you return.
Beautiful.
Can we ever see Venus's shadow when it goes between the Earth and the Sun?
A transit of Venus. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, that we don't actually get an eclipse of that because by the time it gets here, it's way too diffuse.
Yeah, you get a quite a sharp contact. In fact, you can even, some people claim to see the atmosphere. I didn't in the last one. But
Yeah, so
not for another 220 years.
we see the planet Venus move across the sun. It's what's called a Venusian transit. However, we don't actually get a shadow like we do with the moon because Venus doesn't completely block out the surface of the sun. The reason that we get a total solar eclipse here on Earth is because the sun is 400 times larger than the moon. It's also 400 times further away. Venus is not at an angular point where it will match that.
10 minutes till totality.
10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Beautiful.
We're in the single. Oh, no. Time's wrong.
You got 10 minutes?
We've got.
I've got
It's
16.
28.
22, right?
It's 28.
No.
No, we've got 16 on your app. So we're just checking timings very quickly. We've got a difference between them. No, it's 16
11:29.
because it starts at
Yeah, I've got 16 minutes here.
11:28. So it's 16, not 10 yet.
I've got the exact.
You're right.
Okay.
Wrong glasses on.
Wrong glasses.
We have another
Take the
question.
mylar off, Andrew.
Where will we be sharing our solar eclipse photos?
So our solar eclipse photos will be posting directly to our Facebook page. So you'll.
The Gravity Discovery Center and Observatory.
Yep. If you're on YouTube, if you go to our channel page, you'll see up in the top right-hand corner there'll be a little button that links you to all of our socials and our website.
Oh, I'll get that.
So if you jump on there, give us a follow. You'll see them up on Instagram or Facebook.
Another one that I had, you'll like this one. Can we get a shout out to the guys at ARS? They've been plugging the event Eclipse since February. Would you like to give them a shout out?
Bear with me for 2 seconds.
Sorry, he's just running off to get a fancy little t-shirt that he has. He'll be right back. I saw that question and I got the perfect person sitting right next to me for that one.
The shilling begins.
The shilling begins.
The shilling begins.
Not sponsored.
Not
Not
sponsored at all,
sponsored, not
but
affiliate
I would
links.
have to say a big shout out to Clint over at Australian Research and Space Exploration for hooking me up with these wicked t-shirts. I've been wearing them all around. Obviously, I'm on the clock at the moment. I'm wearing GDC t-shirts,
Yes.
but fantastic job, guys. Thank you for spreading this stream out. Thank you for getting another way for people to come and experience the eclipse. Big thank you from the team here at the Gravity Discovery Center.
Let me put the stream back on there so I can check it's all lined up.
Yep.
Thank you. Just because that's obviously less delayed. Perfect. Thank you. Do other planets experience an eclipse from the Earth's shadow, or are we too far away?
To other planets experience an eclipse. We're too far away. So do bear in mind, the mechanic that makes the eclipse work in the first place is the fact that the sun is 400 times larger than the moon, but also 400 times further away. So as Rick was saying earlier, if you've ever been to Paris or Pisa and you've done that little trick where it looks like you're holding on to the tower, that's what you're doing there, is creating an illusion where you're matching the angular size of an object. The only time a total solar eclipse will occur is when those angular sizes match.
Yeah, it's getting very, very dark in Perth.
It is getting much darker out here now.
Yeah, it actually is starting to. You know where I just got... Can you
have to keep
my
checking.
my hoodie, please?
Ooh,
Right.
No, my regular
Okay.
jacket.
Same spotter in your bag.
One of the two. I don't actually remember which one. Does the corona turn blue during the total eclipse?
does the corona turn blue? Not to my understanding. No, it should be white.
It doesn't get any hotter.
Have you ever heard of anything like that, Andrew? The corona turning blue?
Faint colors in the corona, but to the human eye, it's basically white.
Yeah. So Professor Joe Eisen's just saying that there are faint colors in the corona, but to the human eye, it's barely perceptible. It should look white.
People are asking about a diamond ring effect during an eclipse.
Diamond ring.
When
Bailey's.
does that happen, and what is that?
Just the single edge.
Oh, the single edge, yeah.
Oh, will we get that because our ring is wider?
Yeah, the timing has to be
Bang on.
Perfect.
Bang on
People are
timing.
asking about that. Maybe
It serves the
explain
mood.
that to-
Pardon?
Can you explain what that diamond ring effect is?
So the diamond ring effect, that is caused by the valleys and mountains on the surface of the moon. Obviously, the moon is not smooth, it is rough. A lot of people think the moon is this big polished sphere up in the sky. Not at all. It is a rough, jagged surface. Those little diamond effects are called Bailey's beads. And capturing them is something all about timing. You have to be bang on with the timing. A lot of the people here at our site in Exmouth have got all of their equipment set up with computers to do all of the timing work for them because it is incredibly precise. What causes the effect is light from the sun kind of scattering and diffracting around mountain valleys and crests and stuff on the surface of the moon, just as the limb arcs over. So it is very, 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 very brief effect, but capturing it can be done.
Apparently, we're getting restreamed currently by Channel 10.
Restream by Channel 10. Thank you guys from Channel 10. Appreciate it.
And according to the Bureau of Meteorology, the temperature dropped 1 degree in 20 minutes.
Fantastic.
So far. It's starting to crop off a little bit at the top again. If you could possibly bring it down.
Nudge that
We're just going to recenter the telescope.
I think
again.
I might quickly jump over to the hydrogen alpha view as well.
You're going to notice a change in color. Correct?
Yep.
Yeah. I was like, still. You're going to notice a change in color on the telescope on our stream. That's because we're changing to a different telescope. So you're getting a different wavelength of light through this one. So it's not your eyes playing tricks on you. It's not your screen playing up. Nothing's breaking. There's no... I don't want to jinx it. There's no clouds. It's the telescope change. And if there's clouds... I know. People are asking if we're excited. We are very excited. We've been planning this trip for
5 years?
5 years, roughly. Yeah, I want to say about 5 years. We have a comment from a Hayden Crisp. You can get natural pinholes projecting through tree leaves as well.
You can. You most
can.
certainly can.
Wonder who that-
experiment. Sharp, fuzzy. Absolutely right.
Yeah, that comment made before about the outer part of your shadow being fuzzier is correct.
Elbows.
My co-workers are now
Okay,
standing
let's-
with their back to the sun.
We are just going to get another camera set up so that we can demonstrate exactly what we're talking about here.
Okay, I'll sit here for a minute.
So we're going to go to our outpost.
And you can even see
We're changing cameras around for a minute.
You can see little
Back.
diffractions.
Yeah.
So I'm going to need someone
Yep.
somehow.
Yep.
to-
Right, there's
What do
your
we
10-minute warning.
10 minutes?
Oh, 10 minutes for real now.
Okay. So it's going to be a bit tricky.
Oh, how many different telescopes have we brought?
How many telescopes have we brought?
The Gravity Discovery Center Observatory. We're streaming through 2 different telescopes. We have people with us that have another 4 telescopes and then 1 more. So we have a total of 4, 5, 5, 6,
And then we
7
have Perth Observatory. And
that
then
are
it's heading-
just with us. So we've brought 7
Get
telescopes.
a bit higher and show everyone.
To the pointy end.
Oh,
down.
where did wait?
But yeah. Okay, Beck, if you hold still for just a
I
moment.
can do that. Like
What I'm trying to show
We're
is-
trying to show you guys the fuzziness of
shadow
the
effect.
shadow. Yeah, you can see it on mine.
Yeah, if you can bring your hand down so I can get closer to the shadow. So if we can see it there on camera.
You'll notice there's a fuzzy outline.
It's a bit hard to pick up,
Yeah.
but the base of the shadow is incredibly sharp. The autofocus on the camera is hunting a bit.
Yeah.
We can confirm, yes.
Yes.
So for those who asked earlier, what the go with the shadows is, no, they do get fluffier at the top and sharper at the bottom. Can confirm.
Do you want to come back to the seat?
Yep, I'm just going to quickly.
Yep.
So at the 10-minute mark, I am now going to jump
Okay.
back into
I'm going to stay here then.
expert mode because I need to start working on totality.
Yes, we need to let our tech man do his tech job, so I'll sit here and take the questions then. And I will ask him them. Why does our eyes get damaged from the eclipse itself, but not from the sun itself?
No.
Your eyes get damaged from the sun.
Yeah. The eclipse is not what damages your eyes. The sun is what damages your eyes.
So when you look, especially when there's a total eclipse and you're looking into, darkness, your eyes expand, you can let more light in. If you look at a total eclipse, it gets dark, so your eyes expand out to let more light in. Then the minute the sun comes back out, that's a lot of sunlight very, very quickly into your eyes. But regardless of if there's an eclipse, do not look at the sun. The sun's going to damage your eyes whether it is an eclipse or not. Let me find some more for you. Yes, if you're watching in Perth, you get about a 70% coverage of the moon. Coverage of the sun. Yep. Coverage by the moon. There, that's how I fixed it. Are you recentering the image? Because I had a few. Perfect. We're recentering the image right now. Does the Earth and the sun create a total eclipse from the moon's perspective?
From the moon's perspective?
Yep. If you're on the moon, will this be giving the moon an eclipse?
No.
No.
Because if you're on the daytime side of the moon, the Earth is on the nighttime side of the moon. So you wouldn't see us.
No.
They've been on for 2 hours. Right, okay, all right, well.
Oh, here's a good one, Mitch.
Yep.
Will the moon moving away from the Earth in time affect future solar eclipses?
Ooh, very good question. I'm not sure. That's one for Rick.
I believe it, off the top of our heads, I would believe it would because it's part of the distance between the Earth and the moon and the sun that also plays in to the ratio and the coincidence all lining up. So I would assume that it would, but we'll confirm that one with Rick when he returns. I'm going to take a photo of that question as well. There we go. Oh, this is another good one. Is the moon visible in the sky right now? No, it is not.
With eclipse glasses,
Yeah.
you can see it moving in front of the sun.
If you look up at the sky normally, no. The sound cut out. Just gonna.
Okay, should be back.
Okay. Apparently the sound went out. I'll just
Fix
wait.
that.
I'll just wait for a chat to tell me that the sound is back. Before I continue to speak. I'm just having a look. I don't know where I cut out either, so if I answered a question while the sound was gone, I'm very sorry. Okay, sound is back. Perfect. We have a question that was asked by Tiffany asking what the temperature is over here. Well, when we started, it was about 26 degrees, and I've now had to put on a jacket, so I would have to assume it's dropped a couple. I will check very quickly to see if the Bureau of Meteorology has updated it.
Yeah.
Oh, it currently feels like it's 23 degrees right now. So the temperature has dropped a fair few degrees since we've started.
So you will see the corona, even though you can see a little bit of the sun. Diamond ring, diamond sun.
People would like it off my face, please.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
We are
fix
going
that.
back to the sun and not my face. We're working on it.
Just moving things around in the dark.
Yes, we just have to edit
Trying
some
to
things.
fixing audio issues.
We're getting comments saying they're surprised it's not darker yet. It will get darker in genuinely about 3.5 minutes.
To answer that question, it is the camera auto adjusting for the darkness. So the camera's auto exposure is affecting it.
Oh, it's starting to get like visibly darker, I think, now. For people telling us to show you the eclipse, it's not done yet.
It's not done yet.
We're also fixing up our stream so that when it is totality, you can see totality well, because we only have 62 seconds to actively work with the totality.
Oh, yeah.
Do we have an ETA for how long it is off my face?
Yeah. Oh, no, it's fixed now. It's
Oh,
off my face.
okay, perfect.
Shouldn't be any sound.
Oh, there's no sound again?
There shouldn't be. Yeah, there's no sound. It doesn't matter.
Can I have sound back?
No. We'll go with the last part of it.
Okay.
Things about to kick off.
Can I
need
say?
to focus as well.
No, I know. Can I say verbal? Because people are going to be like, oh, the sound's cut out. So can you turn it on so I can say we're turning sound off?
Yep. Okay, so it's going to go full face again.
Okay. Tell me when there's sound again. Okay, we're going to be turning sound off for about
For the duration of
duration of totality and probably a minute and a half after. It's not an audio problem. It's just so we can focus as well and to save you guys when everyone starts yelling about totality. So in probably about 5 minutes, actually, we can see a planet up right now.
That's Jupiter.
Jupiter. We can actually see Jupiter in the sky. So anyone who asked if we could see planets.
Oh, no, that's Venus.
Oh,
Jupiter's
that one's
closer to the
Venus.
sun.
That one's Venus. Jupiter's closer. But we're going to be muting for a few minutes and we'll be back after totality.
Yeah.
Diamond ring. If I want to get pictures of that, do I take the filter off or leave it on?
Take the filter.
Is the filter off?
I don't know. Ask Andrew.
I would leave it as whatever you're done.
Yeah.
I would ask Andrew.
I was like, get it off my face because people on YouTube
Yeah.
were complaining. And then someone else in the chat went, we like your face. We just like the sun more.
Yeah.
Will I take my cover off when you guys stream totality?
Yeah, no, when you hear us say filters off,
Filters off? Take it
filters off. Yeah. And
then
just
sound
start
like
shooting.
10 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, sweet.
Okay, I'm getting people say they can still
minutes.
hear us. Is that true or not?
Huh?
Venus.
I'm getting people say.
Oh, it's Venus. Oh, that's so weird.
Yeah, I don't like. Yeah. Well, Venus is visible. We actually did it.
All right, I'll assume the position again.
Oh, I'm happy to take it if you want. Do you want to sit with me though?
Let me get some audio back here.
I think they heard it all again
Should be
because
clear.
I had people saying they could still
Can
hear
we
it.
just get a confirmation that people in chat?
Yeah, I'm waiting. Can people verbally hear us? Okay, they did not hear us during the totality. Never mind, that's good. Okay, people can hear us now. Yes.
Fantastic.
Do you want to pull your chair over and come join me?
We'll start answering questions again.
Oh, it's starting to get bright really quick then.
It is. It's going to start warming up again soon too.
Yeah, I'll take my hoodie off in probably about 20 minutes. Are you visible? So we're both visible in a way.
Beautiful.
Perfect. Okay. I'm having a look.
Wow.
Oh, a lot of people are saying we nailed the totality, which is good.
Thank you so much,
Thank
guys.
you,
Thank
thank
you so
you.
much.
It is,
Weight off my back.
yeah, planning something for 5 years and having a minute and 2 seconds to do it is a very stressful time for the cameraman.
Yeah.
Very smoothly.
It's crazy that you can see
Nice
how
work.
fast it's
Nice
actually
job,
moving.
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was.
That was
I think everyone's still kind of a little bit in shock.
Yeah.
I think for a lot of us, this is our first eclipse. so-
Yes. I've got a little.
First
I've got
Yeah.
a little
Got-
tremor
got-
in my
got a
hand.
little of these
I've
ones.
got a little shake.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The,
this is my first, other than a lunar. This is my first.
So-
Yeah.
One thing that often gets denoted, particularly with total solar eclipses, is that during totality, it almost looks like there is a gunshot hole in the sky. And I think I can safely say from everyone who saw it, it did look
Yeah.
like a giant bullet hole in the sky.
And I don't know, could the camera pick up how far out the corona was going in the daytime in our sky?
No, so the wide field camera was just showing how dark the landscape was.
okay.
It wasn't actually pointed at the sun. How good was that?
Holy! Wait, the audio's on.
Holy shit!
Oh,
that
cool,
was
I'm allowed to say
amazing.
shit.
Richard,
Dude, oh
we're
my
on television.
No,
Sorry.
it's not. No, it's fine. I said shit like 6 times.
I nailed it. We nailed it.
Yeah,
That
we got it.
was
I'm
well
getting
done,
people in
guys.
chat
We nailed it.
agreeing that it looks
Yeah.
like a gunshot.
the filter.
Yes. Oh, Rick, he got some good photos for you.
He's got coronal prominence.
I cannot stress enough how far the corona went in the sky as well without the cameras. Let's see. Everyone's freaking out.
Yeah, I can safely say that the mood across the entirety of the site is pretty electric.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. As you can hear from the background noise, everyone here is ecstatic. I think all of the teams from all the different departments who've come along.
Go forward.
I haven't heard any swear words in a bad manner, so I think everyone's experiments have gone swimmingly.
Sorry to the 7-year-olds that we swore a couple
Apologies to
times.
the preschoolers.
Yes,
Um,
but
I was made aware earlier that there is actually a team of guys here who are recreating the Walal experiment, which tests Einstein's theory of relativity. So hopefully, those guys have got all of their data that they needed to kind of prove their experiment. I can see the team from Shanghai Planetarium.
Yep.
Those guys are bouncing around in the background.
Yep. everyone's
they're
having a
ecstatic.
very good time.
I think they've just gone through their filters and
Yep.
they're having a blast.
Amazing. Oh, that was
Can you
well
see a
done,
little bit?
guys.
You can both be on?
Very well done.
How are we doing?
Really good. Can you screen this with them both be on?
Yep. Richard, do you want to stick your ugly mug back on the
Are we
camera
both?
again?
Yeah, why
are we
not?
both?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'll jump back in
Come
here.
join
Let
me.
me get my.
Oh, never mind. It'll just be me again.
I'm just gonna stare at it a bit longer
Yep.
with my glasses on.
Oh my god.
Okay, most of the chat is just screaming.
Yes.
And we weren't muted for the entirety of the totality, so there was, other than your shit bomb,
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
may have also said it a few times.
There is
You did.
there's a couple of people saying language warning. Do bear in mind this
This
is a pretty significant event.
This is also Australian.
This is a human reaction to these kind of things.
And
Yes.
you're surprised. You should be lucky that's the worst we said.
Yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
sorry.
Dawesville actually got noticeably colder as well.
Oh, yeah,
Dawesville
so it's south of
Yeah.
Mandurah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
we got
yeah.
noticeably colder. A lot of people are telling us to
Any
take the
pictures?
filters off. We did. That did happen. We just have to wait a little bit.
I think they're trying to convince us to take the filters off again.
Oh,
that
no.
will destroy the camera. No.
Yeah, the filters will stay on forever now.
Yeah, yeah.
Just as a note, so the timer has changed once again. It now says C4. C4 is fourth contact. So that means when the moon has its final touch against the disk of the sun, that will take place in approximately 85 minutes from now.
Roughly 102, I believe,
Correct.
which is when the eclipse is over for all intents and purposes.
Is this taking
Yeah. Last night I thought I was going to be on the camera. It worked perfectly this morning. Oh, you got to see that.
A lot of people are asking actually if we sell our shirts. No, this is actually our work uniform shirts. They are very, very cool, but they are not for sale. If you come to Perth and work for us, then you can get a shirt. We got a comment again, Mitch, from a Hayden Crisp.
Yep.
Make sure you archive the stream. It'll be a shame to lose it.
Oh no, don't worry. I've got everything backed up. Everything's
It's all
backed
there.
up.
I'm surprised
Thank
he's not
you,
just directly texting us at this
That's
point.
it.
So Celia said the best bit was Rick losing his shit on Channel 9.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, you lost it on
I
you lost
nearly
it on
did.
national TV.
Well, kind of. I was looking up at a totality, and this sudden. I just got overcome with emotion, and I got choked up. I was
Choked up. Yeah.
lost
Yeah.
for words. It was just
I have
magnificent. Wow.
another question for you.
Yeah.
What are the filters that we keep referring to when we're talking about taking filters?
Yes.
Often?
White
Okay.
filters.
So I've got a couple of filters. So the Coronado telescope is a dedicated solar telescope. Thank you. So it's a dedicated solar telescope, and it uses a series of filters within the telescope. So it's dedicated to only looking at the sun. On the William Optics, the one that gives us the white light image, we've got a piece of mylar on the front, and this mylar is special solar filter. It's special grade solar filter, and that blocks out all the UV, all the IR, and certainly all the a majority of the visible light as well, so you don't torch your sensor and your camera. The other thing is, of course, on the camera that's been taking stills, my son's been doing that. He has another mylar filter that I use solar film. It's very similar to the glasses, your Eclipse glasses, and that is safe to look at through as well. So yes, they're the solar filters that we use.
It says a few other people in our YouTube chat also saying they loved your reaction on Channel 9.
Oh, great!
Yeah.
Thank
You're
you.
gonna
I thought I was actually going to hold myself together and go, oh yes, and here we'll be all professional and say, oh yes, there's totality now and 62 seconds.
Is it beer o'clock yet,
And
next
then-
mouth? It is most certainly
Oh,
beer o'clock.
absolutely.
Beer o'clock is-
Absolutely.
yes, I am going to crack one open soon.
We had actually some people from that camp Eclipse that came
Yep.
up and visited us last week.
Yep.
They're watching this as well. If you were
Nice.
from there.
Hey guys.
Thank you for
Hey,
coming
how you
up.
doing?
Thank you very much.
A lot of people saying thank you for sharing this with us.
That's
Would
what we
have loved
do.
to hear
That's
the
what we
energy
do.
of the crowd.
That's our job.
That is what we do.
I saw another really good one.
Sad because we can't see it in New South Wales. You guys got a partial eclipse in New South Wales, but I think it was only about 10%.
Yeah, but in 2028, you guys are going to actually get to see a total solar
Yeah,
eclipse,
You're gonna crack
and it
on
goes
that one.
right over Sydney. So,
Totality for like 5 minutes or something.
oh no, that's up in the northwest of WA. So they'll probably get it for about 2 or 3 minutes, something like that.
To answer the question, why is it C4 now? C4 stands for fourth contact. As I mentioned earlier, fourth contact is when the disk of the moon finally uncovers the sun. And basically we go back to seeing an entire solar disk again. That will occur in 81 minutes. So we've got quite a bit of time for that to take place.
We have a lot of people saying that they took screenshots of our stream to use for things like that.
yes, we
If
had-
you check our Facebook page, and probably, how long do you think until we get photos up from this? Facebook.
Give us to the end of the day.
End of-
Yeah, we're going to be traveling for a bit.
Yeah,
picking
maybe-
up, so
maybe
we'll try
by
and get
Monday.
we'll try and get something out maybe to. Oh, well, we can't because we're not going to be anywhere near mobile signal.
Maybe try Monday.
Yeah,
If you have a
Monday.
look on our Facebook page,
Yeah.
Gravity Discovery Centre and Observatory. You can also find the link in our YouTube channel. We'll have some of our proper camera photos there for you, so you don't have to use a screenshot from your phone. And also, someone just mentioned on the Bureau of Meteorology Himawari sat view, you
Yep.
can see the shadow moving across the earth.
Oh,
I'm going to check that. I'm going to very
check it,
quickly
yeah,
check it.
you're going to check that
Quickly
right
check
now,
that.
yeah. And thanks for saving us the trip to Exmouth.
Yep.
There's a lot.
Okay, let me see if I can pull up the Bureau's satellite bureau.
I am, yeah.
Oh, you can.
I've got
you
10.
can.
That's it.
You
Can you share that on the
Okay,
stream?
Yep, I'm going to
If
do
you
that.
guys bear with us for a moment, we're going to
get
share
a screenshot
the
of that.
meteorological satellite view
Screenshot
of
that.
the eclipse passing over.
Transition. So yeah, there you can see
Oh yeah. Whoa.
that there is the shadow of the Earth, or shadow of the Moon rather, cast over the surface of the Earth from the eclipse.
Yep, it'll catch up in a few
They might scream about no audio, so I'm just going to come back.
Yeah.
Just some of the basically what it is.
So that there, folks, that was a live view from the Himawari 8 satellite. It's owned and operated by the Japanese Meteorological Association.
And they allow the Bureau of Meteorology to use it as well because they pick us up in it and they share it.
So that their darkness you could see over the west coast of Australia was the shadow of the moon being cast across the globe.
So that is, what the eclipse looks like if you're out on a satellite. Oh, wonderful footage from Yagan Square.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, well, if you start getting headaches this all night,
You start seeing funny little crescent shapes in your vision.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying they agree about the gunshot in the sky.
Yes.
But they do.
That's only left come down. I'm still shooting partials to C4.
I'm catching up. I had to scroll through all the screaming to find the question, so bear with me, everyone.
We get you guys are enthusiastic.
Yeah.
We appreciate that.
Yes, thank you. It's also going to make the next hour and 20 minutes go a lot faster having questions.
Did you get to check your shadow and do the experiment, Brady? Yes, we did, Brady. So
we did it with.
We tried to capture it on the web camera. It was very tricky. I'll see if it still affects now. Yeah, so it's still happening now, where the bottom of your shadow is sharp and the top of your shadow is all fuzzy.
Yes.
So,
However, the camera kept trying to autofocus it, so it wasn't really able to be picked up on the camera. But we saw it with our own two eyes.
Yeah, we
many
can confirm.
pairs of two eyes.
Can confirm it does happen.
We will show you guys our still shots. However, we're not able to do that now, as they're in cameras behind us, and we've got a very big setup. Yeah. So if you guys probably early next week, if you have a look at our Facebook page, that's where the stream photos will be. Yeah.
Daniel, is that camp still?
There's an 11-year-old in the chat, a parent of an 11-year-old who would love to work at the GDC because he goes regularly with his.
Oh,
nice.
Fantastic. If
Thank
you jump
you.
on our website, send us an email or to bookings@gravitycentre.com.au. If there's anyone in Perth who'd love to volunteer, we'd love to have you guys along. Drop us a line and we'll reach out.
We actually had one question. You guys mentioned it took 5 years to plan this. Why did it take a lot of time, and what was involved in planning for a solar eclipse?
Well, because of,
that's a Rick
because of me. Yeah, see, I like
I've only been involved for about 2.5 years.
planning everything down to the, even what kind of food we're going to eat.
And you nail it, Rick.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yes.
But
It worked. 5 years of stress was worth it.
yeah, well, it's always plan early, and be prepared, and hope for the best, plan for the worst. So carry redundancy. So all of that, plus working with the state government and actually warning them what it's going to be like, because they had no idea, and they thought, how are we going to cram all these people into Exmouth? And I just told them what it's going to, what to expect. That's it. And then working with other organisations to actually make this a reality. It wasn't just me, but this area that we're in now, I wouldn't have been able to do this without everyone here. This is a team effort. There's no I in team, as they say. But what a hell of an experience, for everyone. And I'm glad everyone is here to, enjoy this.
I have a couple of kind of easier questions. How loud is a solar eclipse? You had the audio muted, so we couldn't hear what sound it makes.
Definitely.
The solar eclipse makes no noise. The people observing the solar eclipse make the noise.
It's probably a good thing.
Yes.
A good thing that we did mute the audio. I noticed a couple of people have pointed out our language.
Yeah.
It was definitely
We were saying,
definitely bad in that period, so probably a good thing for the kids.
but again, Australian.
Yeah.
Another one. Did anyone else's body temperature change during totality? Start feeling cold. I've personally had to put a jacket on because it did drop a fair few degrees. I want to say about 3 or 4 degrees.
Yeah.
You were gone when it was, say, Bureau Meteorology said 1 degree in 20 minutes when it first kind of kicked off.
Wow.
Went before totality.
Okay.
So it did drop a fair few degrees Celsius in there.
That's
How do I know when there's an eclipse in my area?
Well, like I said, there's this amazing French eclipse chaser called Xavier Ubia. So XAV. You say again? UBA. Spelled JUBIER. So UBA.
I got another question.
UBA.
I'm a few minutes late to getting to it, but someone was referring to the 83-minute timer. Is that when the sun will be completely eclipsed?
Yes.
Yes.
When the
No.
sun will, when the
No
moon will
longer.
become-
Yeah.
no longer eclipse.
Yeah, so
Completely bug it
that
off.
83-minute timer, which is now 76 at the time of me getting to the question, that is when the eclipse is over and the moon will have moved entirely out of the way.
Oh, it's getting bright enough. I might have to put the sunglasses
Yeah, I
on.
had to ask him to drop the brightness down on the
I
camera.
it's the exposure.
Oh, my brother
I'll
just,
put my eclipse glasses on. They're the best sunnies you
my
ever need.
brother just
Yeah, that's
texted
it.
me. Sounds like you guys really enjoyed it, so he got some
Yeah.
audio at some point.
Yep.
A lot of people saying thank you. It was amazing to watch it. A lot of people from Perth.
Yep.
A lot of people
Excellent.
just from everywhere, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm in Perth, the crickets are singing, and my rooster started to sing again. Definitely reduced light in Perth.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
Cool, yeah.
so. Yeah, animals are starting to think it's dawn again.
Yeah, fantastic.
I wasn't able to get a count for this one myself. How many long coronal streamers could we see?
Oh, I'd have to go back.
I want to say
You have to go back and look at the
I want to
footage.
see not naked eye safely. There was a
Yeah, naked
10
eye.
at least. There was
Yeah.
there was a lot coming off that you could see normally.
But yeah, go back and watch the footage, which
Uh,
I'll do so you can.
Yeah, yeah.
Great job, totally entertained in a humorous, scientific way. I'm
Cool.
glad they're seeing the humor in it.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes.
How many people were watching? I like
We
it.
peaked at about 2.7 thousand.
Whoa,
We're currently at
okay.
2.1 still.
Yep.
What caused the huge solar flares immediately before and after totality? The big bit sticking off the side immediately before and after.
Oh, okay. So
Oh, just before and after.
Yep.
So that was the camera me changing camera exposure settings as the filters were going
Yes.
on and off.
Yep.
So it wasn't actually something on the sun.
No.
That was
but
purely
you,
an
you
artifact
do
of the
get
camera.
you do get the effect of the diamond ring. So it's the last
Yes.
gasp of
Yeah.
sunlight as it goes behind the moon. So the moon's surface is not smooth. It's lumpy. It's got mountains and stuff. And of course, you get the effect something called Bailey's beads, which is the almost like a bead of sunlight, beads of sunlight rather, around the edge. But then that last gasp, that last flash of sun, is the diamond ring effect. So potentially that last little flare was the diamond ring effect, and that happens both entry and exit. So just as it's all,
What? Oh, the
What?
footage. Okay. I was like, what is going on? Is there a second
What?
eclipse? Why is everyone
No.
freaking out?
We're just, oh my god.
So yeah, you can slowly see the moon moving across it.
That'll make a cool t-shirt.
Stuart has also just texted us.
Hey,
Hope
Stuart.
you guys enjoyed it. Not jealous at all. I think he's a bit jealous.
I think he's a bit.
I just remembered. I took photos of some questions that we deemed, well, we wait for Rick to
Oh,
come
yeah,
back
okay.
with
We do.
questions.
We have pending questions.
So I've been dual phoning
I wouldn't
this
call it
entire
diamond
thing.
ring, but
Let me-
the size, the prominence.
No, we do. And I'm trying to find that fact. Why does the totality time vary? Why was this eclipse 1 minute, but 2028 will be a 5-minute eclipse?
That's a good question. It's to do with. Oh, Christ, I can't remember. Give me a
That's
second.
okay. That's okay.
Let me think about it.
We'll come back to that one again. I don't know if the person's still in
I
chat.
know the answer, but I just can't formulate it into any coherent words.
Yeah, we're all just a bit.
So,
Yeah.
I'm still a bit, a bit shaky.
That's so good. Okay, well, I'll try another kind of harder one if you don't mind then. Let
Go
me
for it.
find the exact one, which I think it will, but I wanted your opinion
Right.
as well. Will the moon moving away from the Earth in the distant future affect solar eclipses?
Yes.
I thought it would as well,
It
because
will.
it's about the ratio and
will.
the distance
Yeah,
and
it is.
everything.
It
Yeah.
is. It's all about the perspective, force perspective.
Yes.
The moon's moving away from Earth at 3.8 centimeters a year. I don't think it'll actually affect us for at least a few thousand, if not 10,000 years. Because that's 3.8 centimeters a year over that scale is very little.
Mhm.
But nevertheless, it eventually in the distant future, yes, it will affect. And the only thing we'll be able to see then is either annual eclipses or partial eclipses. No more total solar eclipses.
This
which
isn't
is quite sad.
This is
Yeah.
another really good question, actually. I think in the northern hemisphere, does it go the opposite direction in an eclipse? Because in this one, the moon moves down from the top to bottom. Will it go the opposite way in the northern hemisphere?
Hmm.
Or is that to do with how things move in general?
Because you get different paths of the shadow. Sometimes they can race from southwest. Yeah, please, Joe. Joe's
Cool,
got
perfect.
20 billion times smarter than me. And
We'll get
he'll,
him. So yes,
he'll
please
put it
look,
in some
if you're in
coherent
the
way.
northern hemisphere, does the eclipse go the other way?
Well, the thing is that
Come around,
Come,
take a seat.
take a
Come
seat,
take a seat, Joe.
We'll get Rick back in a minute.
so the thing is that generally, because of the orbit of the moon, the eclipses tend to go west to east.
Mhm.
But in the northern hemisphere, we're looking at the sun towards the south.
Mhm.
And in the southern hemisphere, you're looking at the sun to the north. And so there is just, in effect, since I am from the northern hemisphere, when I look at the stars, all the constellations seem upside down to me. And that same effect takes effect here, where west to east is in the opposite direction, because you see southerners see the sun in the northern sky. And so when you look at the sun, generally the sun is moving right to left in the southern hemisphere in Australia. When I look at the sun from the United States, the sun, when I look to the south, seems to be moving east to west, but it's going left to right. And so things aren't different, but from your perspective, the northerners are upside down, and from the northerners' perspective, you're upside down, and that's it confuses the bejesus out of me when I look at the sky and everything seems upside down. But everyone here seems to think it's fine, so I just take everyone's word for it.
Thank you very much for that, Joe. Thank you.
Okay, I yield the chair.
That's so good. Yeah, I'll keep holding it down. We got a question, not asking about hand shadows, but if any shadow bands were seen just before C2 or just after C3. We weren't able to see a clear racing shadow line, but we could very, very easily and visibly see that it was growing darker and darker.
This would be another one where I would say go back and check, have a look at the footage.
Yeah.
I will be going back and reviewing the footage to see if I can see that. To be completely honest, in that moment, my head was buried in a tent in a computer setting exposure settings. So I wasn't visually looking around to make sure that the shadows were racing across. Joe, did you manage to notice the shadows coming across?
No, and we even took out some of the wall near.
Yeah, you're in the same. Oh no!
We even removed some of the privacy screen to kind of increase our chance of seeing that shadow wall. We would not be able to see that.
We will review the footage to show you guys.
For people asking why the time of totality varies between different eclipses, that is something we will get back to you on. Well, our chief astronomer has the answer. We just...
what have we got?
It's the time of totality one again. I was saying we'll get back to it, unless you have...
The time of totality?
Why they're different in different eclipses again.
Oh, God, because it just depends when it happens, really. It's a case of, sometimes they can happen at sunrise, some at sunset, some in late afternoon, morning, mid-morning, like now,
It's a whole lot of things.
It was just... You good, Jay?
I just got my first glimpse of the stuff through that scope, and I got some great shots.
Oh,
he's got some great shots. So, yep, Joe's about to self-combust. But I just spoke to a colleague down at Yagan Square. He was running the digital tower, so picking up our signal and sticking it up in the digital tower. And he said the place was packed full of people, shoulder to shoulder. And then when it actually got to mid eclipse to totality, people lost their minds.
That would have been the best experience.
So
that would have, almost. Not actually better than being here, but if I wasn't here, I'd want to be there.
That's what I was going to say.
So
a lot of Perth residents thanking us have all been. A lot of people in this chat that have been to us before as well, actually.
Thanks very much.
Yeah.
So to answer the question of the gentleman earlier who asked, could we see the shadows racing across the ground? I've just reviewed the footage from the wide field camera. I can't noticeably see any racing shadow. Part of me thinks that might have something to do with the camera's auto expose settings, compensating for the change in brightness. But what I will do is I will quickly just jump. We'll lose audio for 2 seconds, but I'll jump over to a screen share just so you guys can see once again what we were seeing during totality. So I'll quickly bounce this over. You guys will lose. Relive the moment.
I've been double
Set this on the play again.
Wow.
My friends have had questions, and they've had a lot of good ones. I've been stealing.
Yeah.
I'm the social media person, so I'm the...
Alrighty, so we are back,
we don't have
folks.
Facebook. I need
So yeah, that's just a quick relive of the moment of what we were experiencing up here during totality.
when it was totality, can you explain the ring of fire? Was that what was that actually? It looked like bursts of flames from the sun's surface.
Those were prominence ejecting from the limb of the sun. So yeah, for all intents and purposes, that was a ring of fire. So what we're actually doing in a moment now is we'll change our telescopes over. We'll go to our hydrogen alpha telescope and we'll show you some more of those prominence live.
Oh wow, that photo you got really good.
So give me 2 seconds.
Are they going to lose audio?
No.
Okay. We had a question for you, Mitch.
Oh, fantastic.
What
yes.
is the name of the equipment that we've used for the observation of the eclipse?
Oh, fantastic. So our white lights telescope is a William Optics refractor. Rick, what model exactly is your William Optics?
It's an FLT 110.
An FLT 110
Yep.
William Optics refractor. The hydrogen alpha telescope we're using is a Coronado Solomax 2, 60 millimeter, single stacked. As for cameras, the white light image is brought to you via a ZWO 294 MC Pro camera, and the hydrogen alpha image, which we'll be moving to in a moment, is brought to you by a ZWO 183 Pro camera. Alrighty.
It is 11:57.
All right,
You want to do it now? Or do you want me to get you out?
I'll just show you some of our gear here now, folks. So as you can see, the large camera or the large telescope, that's that William Optics we were talking about. And the smaller golden one is our dedicated solar telescope. It's a hydrogen alpha telescope that allows us to view a very specific wavelength of light coming from the sun. So I'm just changing some settings in the background here very quickly, and we'll get you guys jumped over to have a look at that ring of fire again in near real time.
This I was setting meeting for I got a little bit of focus here. That's why.
My uni classmates just sent a link to a different stream to our group chat.
Send this.
I am, and I'm yelling at them.
You are still live. Mind the sass.
Fine, they'll hear it.
Alrighty. So the ring of fire that you guys saw earlier, this here is exactly what was causing it. So these little spikes that we can see on the edge of the solar limb, those are prominence. So those are jets of plasma that are erupting from the solar surface. The majority of these are caused by those sunspots, those darker regions that we saw earlier. The ones that were the first ones to kind of disappear from the disk of the moon, they should be coming back shortly. So we'll go back, we'll have a look at those. And you'll get a bit of an idea of exactly what causes a number of these prominence or flares to occur from the side. To really put things into perspective, though, to really sell this perspective of things, this prominence here, where my mouse currently sits, that is close to 6 to 7 times the size of our planet, and that's being conservative. So these are truly massive eruptions that we're seeing from the limb of the sun. Nothing spectacular. This is kind of like everyday run-of-the-mill for the sun, but just to put things into perspective, 6 to 7 times the diameter of the Earth in height.
Someone asked who was recreating the Wallol experiment here.
I should have grabbed the gentleman's name. There's a team of researchers. I can't recall their names off the top of my head. A quick note on the Wallol experiment. For the upcoming eclipse in 2028, we are looking to recreate the experiment ourselves. We initially thought about doing it at this event. However, because totality was so short and there's a lot of stuff we had to kind of faff around to do, we didn't end up doing that. We are trying again to do this for the 2028 eclipse, as the location that we've picked will have close to 5.5 minutes worth of totality.
Someone from Karatha mentioned they had about 97% coverage. I can't believe how bright it still was, but how cool it was at the same time.
Yes. As the moon moves across the disk of the sun, it's blocking a lot of that ultraviolet, all kind of wavelengths of radiation coming from the sun. So it is going to get a lot cooler. Just no different as if a cloud was to move in front of the sun. Very similar effect, except instead of a big kind of fluffy thing of water vapor, it's a giant rock in the sky.
Rick has to call you time to come sit here again.
Rick's getting pulled over for a couple of interviews.
Can you get that baby back on the full screen of the sun for me, and then come join me for questions again?
Give me a second.
That's all good.
Just move some stuff around.
That's all right. Doing a little around.
Here's all the map filters off.
SER files.
Yeah.
Have you got SERs?
I have SER. Can you play an SER?
I can make it a play. I can do that.
You want to do that now?
So we'll do one.
Plug it in. I'll find something. So we've been graciously handed a hard drive from Joe, who's going to show us some of the footage that he's managed to capture.
We should probably not go live with me until I find the one that I have.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wait. Do you want to do it now? Then or later?
So do you know what file it is? Or we got to check them.
I can check on my other computer.
Yeah. Can you just tell me which file name it is, and I'll find it up. I'll get my SER software together. So.
I will warn you, it's in a folder that says "Okay to delete."
Okay to delete.
Got to change.
That's a bit counterintuitive.
I will make sure not to delete said folder.
The really important files are in the OK to delete folder.
Okay. So Becca, we got any more questions rolling?
I'm catching up now. I'm trying to catch up. Oh, someone actually updated us. I was off on the number because I obviously had missed it. We actually peaked at 4.2 thousand people watching, not the 2.8. We'd actually gotten up to 4.2 thousand.
4.2. I'd love to know how many people were in Yagan Square.
Oh yeah, that'd be a good one.
If anybody has any, or was at Yagan Square for the event, if you could send some photos through to our Facebook page,
yes,
the Gravity Discovery Center on Facebook, that would be absolutely fantastic. We'd love to see the event.
I just called up fellow Zeppo.
Yep.
To embed him. Bill Daggins, So he said that the place was packed shoulder to shoulder. And he goes, you should have seen the totality.
That's a good idea.
It was live on the screen. Everyone was live.
Oh, here's a good question for you, Mitch.
Yep.
Why is the shield around the front of our telescope so much larger than the aperture?
The shield?
Yeah, the sun shield. Why is it so much larger than the aperture of our telescope?
So people can understand exactly what I'm talking about, I'll just jump back over to a view of our telescope here. So the reason that sun shield is so large is to actually keep the camera nice and cool. That's all it is. It's basically we're using the shadow from that shade to keep direct sunlight off the camera and other sensitive electrical instruments, just to stop them from heating up and malfunctioning.
Great, guys. Keep on.
Yeah.
Oh. What was the longest totality solar eclipse ever recorded? We will get you that answer.
I will dig that out
momentarily.
Let me Google that for you.
We know a lot of things, but we do not know
A lot of
everything. There are a lot of numbers, a lot of things to remember. For people asking where are we are currently in Exmouth, Western Australia.
329_6. That'll be a diamond ring with prominences, and the next one will show the prominences and chromospheres.
329_6. Fire capture test. Okay to delete contents.
Yeah.
Sun. 329.
_6.
3/6. They're all fours. Oh, so that's 329.
He was just finessing the CA. And
Seven. Not that folder. Is it in the sun folder or the moon folder?
It's in the sun folder. You're possibly in the wrong date.
Fire capture. Okay to delete contents.
Yes.
That's the one. Oh no, that's the 14th of the 4th.
It should be 20th in the name.
20th and
20th.
Which one?
I'm checking in a minute, but I believe it's the time.
We go back.
He's
Okay to
probably a
delete
nine.
content.
Yes.
you can tell him, and I'll just
Sun. Sun.
No, it's on your shoulder. On your shoulders.
Okay, I have just been texted an answer by one of our astrophysicists, Hayden, relating to the timing difference question. And the main factor in timing differences between, why some eclipses are 1 and some are about 5 minutes is how directly the umbra or the shadow actually passes over the site. So direct hits, so direct lineups are longer, and the ones that come up on a tangent are shorter.
And I'll get the
if the camera can show it, but he has drawn me a diagram.
I haven't got a thumb drive. Yeah, just use that.
And Hayden has also been gracious enough to answer the question for the longest eclipse, which was the 1973 Concorde expedition, where the Concorde chased a total eclipse for 74 minutes of totality. Hayden is texting me answers very nicely.
Fantastic.
Thank
Thank you
you,
very
Hayden.
much, Hayden. For those unaware, Hayden is one of
Hey,
our fantastic
yes.
team at the Discovery Centre.
He's one of our
Hey, you lot,
astrophysicists.
shut up
He's
a bit.
no, he's texting me.
I know, so
We're live.
Spider.
We're live.
Don't worry about me.
Yeah, no, there we go.
So we've come here to live stream the whole lot.
Thank you,
colleagues
Hayden.
over here answering questions from people all around the world. Do we have Uzbekistan?
We have so many Uzbekistan.
And now that we've
people.
mentioned Uzbekistan, I think
They're
they're going to go
spam
crazy in the
flag
chat again.
yeah.
We'll get more Uzbekistani flags.
Thank you very much, Uzbekistan, for the
We
support.
appreciate the love.
Does the moon? Oh, here's an interesting one. Does the moon's surface reflect the sun's heat back and light back at the sun and possibly cause spontaneous flares?
No.
The moon cannot do that, no. It does reflect sunlight, but not focused or intense enough to cause a solar flare.
That was amazing. I spoke to my colleague down at Yagan, Zempo.
Which is hotter, a pink star or a white star? Pink stars do not occur.
White stars.
White stars. White stars are also some of the hottest stars regardless, and pinks do not
So
exist.
yeah, thanks to
A lot of people saying thank you, Hayden, for the answers, so thank you,
Thank you very
Hayden.
much.
Oh, and there's a bunch of Uzbekistan spam and flags
Here
now.
we go.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Uzbekistan.
Thank you, Uzbekistan.
Hayden said hi in chat. Hi, Hayden. Oh my god. It's all just Uzbekistan. This one. Here's a question for you, Mitch.
Yep.
In Uranus,
Yes.
is it possible to see Jupiter and Saturn covering the sun one after another, like a double eclipse?
So if-
They wouldn't eclipse the sun.
So
would they?
you would see a transit, you would
Yeah.
not see an eclipse.
It would not be a full block out, but it would be a tiny dark patch.
It would have to be at the exact moment.
Yeah. Oh, actually, sorry, that reminds me of a question I scrolled past before. Someone's asking if that little dark point on the sun is the shadow of a satellite.
No, that little dark point we see on the sun there is a sunspot.
I did, yeah, we sent it over.
Perfect. You know, you mentioned Uzbekistan and they're going off again.
they're going off
Yeah,
again.
they're going off again. Thank you, Uzbekistan. Are we using ASI Studio to run our cameras?
No, SharpCap Pro.
SharpCap Pro.
There you go, mate.
I use SharpCap Pro for everything, even non-astronomy things. Microscopy. I love SharpCap Pro. Can't recommend it enough.
Not sponsored.
So yeah, that's this sunspot we see here. The dark inner part or the core of the sunspot, where my mouse is currently sitting, that is known as the umbra. That there is the region of highest intense magnetism, and then this kind of fringe that we see around the exterior, that is the penumbra. Slightly less magnetism, but we can see a lot of effects here. This sunspot here, I could easily fit Earth roughly five times inside, 5-6 times. It's pretty big.
I've just been texted by Stuart. The C4 timer has stopped, and I can confirm looking at your screen that it has stopped.
Let me fix that.
We will fix that timer in a moment. We also had someone ask what was the most exciting moment of the totality for each member. I think it's the actual totality
What was the most exciting
Letting them-
moment for each member?
of the totality.
I think when I pulled I saw it on the screen first.
Yeah, when you came out of the box.
I saw it on the screen, and there was a large flare during me getting exposures right, and my heart sank, and I thought, did I call filter off too early? And was I about to fry this camera and ruin the entire thing? And then it was just me dealing with the exposure times. Once I got it right, and I pulled my head out, and I looked up for the first time and saw it, and I said to myself, why am I even continuing to look at the screen? It's right there above my head.
Yeah, I think
that's when it sunk in.
it's just being able to look at it and see the flares coming off the side.
Yeah.
What do you guys think, Daniel? Michelle?
What was the
most
best
exciting
moment
for
for you guys?
Okay, Michelle, what do you think?
For me, I had to change filter on the telescope.
Oh, yes. You had a very important job.
You did a good job.
Yeah, no, I was posed there for 60 seconds beforehand, just trying to get that perfect smooth transition.
And you-
Smooth transition, so you could see, you wouldn't be able to see that there was a glitch, or it was a smooth transition between when the totality was there and when it wasn't there, as well as for myself when I had my camera, because I was videoing everyone's excitement, wanted to capture that moment for all all of us to watch later on and laugh at ourselves. Yeah, when I went up to the sun itself, you could actually see, even just on your generic Samsung phone, that the video could actually see that there was a dark circle in the middle of the sun, which you wouldn't normally see, obviously. And thirdly, as well, just with Yagan Square, came up with that idea about 6 months to a year ago now, and had a good chat with Rick, and seeing the team bring it to fruition was awesome. Such a magical experience. And I've got getting all these text messages through from people that were at Yagan Square, seeing all the people down there enjoying the moment. So yeah, really happy that everyone was able to partake in the event together. So yeah, just a beautiful experience, really magical. Can't beat it.
For anyone who'd asked about temperature changes, it's warmed up again. I've had to take my hoodie back off. I had it on for a bit there, not anymore. Question, which one is better, solar eclipse or a lunar eclipse?
Solar.
Solar. Not even a challenge, not even an argument, solar.
329_6. Beautiful. Put it there.
Does Mars experience solar eclipses?
No.
Phobos and Deimos are too small to. Yeah.
The moons are too small to eclipse the sun. How dark was the sky when the eclipse happened?
Pretty.
So it
It
wasn't.
was like twilight.
Yeah,
Almost
it's
like
twilight. It wasn't pitch black, middle of the night. We were able to see Venus and Jupiter, and it was twilight. Like the sun was setting, except the sun was at the very top of the sky. A lot of people commenting on how good your shot of the sunspot was.
The next few after that.
What I'll do is I'll copy the folder across.
What
And I'll give you back your hard drive.
What mount are the scopes on, and what tracking software is running the mounts?
Okay, so there's no tracking software currently being used on the mounts. The mount itself is a Losmandy Gemini 2. We've got a weird dovetail set up on it. I'll switch back to the live view for that. Just moving some files around here.
While he's doing, I have one thing to. Can I interject with one question?
Yeah, go ahead.
While he's doing that, after the Mars question, someone says Mars doesn't have a moon. Mars has 2 moons. They're called Phobos and Deimos. They are asteroids, basically, that have gotten a little bit. They're not as nice and round as our moon is, but Mars does have 2 moons, Phobos and Deimos.
But it is possible to image them. Amateurs have imaged them.
Yeah, we can get photos of them.
It's kind of an advanced project to image the moons of Mars. It's not easy because they're very easily lost in the glare of Mars itself.
Our time has stopped again, Mitch.
Yep, I know.
Oh, okay.
I know.
People are also requesting a zoom out again on the sun if they could.
Zoom out again on the sun?
Yeah.
Yep, I'm working on things as we speak.
I have another question. What would happen if it was a cloudy day today?
What would happen if it was a cloudy day?
Murder.
Oh!
You would hear me invent new swear words.
I don't know what my safety would be like. How close could man safely get to the sun?
Well, there is talk about manned orbital missions to Venus.
Yep.
And the I imagine you can get closer, but you have to deal with several
heat and the radiation.
Problems. Heat and the radiation, and it really depends upon your hardware. The Parker Solar Probe, which is unmanned, is within the outer corona, and but that's certainly a place that would be too challenging with our current technology.
So Venus, roughly, is the closest we could really get.
You know, if we were clever, I imagine people will eventually be on the dark side of Mercury or underground in Mercury, but that's not likely to happen in anyone's lifetime who's alive today.
I like that.
Rick.
Cool.
Rick,
Yes.
When did you need to call that number you got me to write down?
Now? Hang on. Was that Zeppo? I think so, yeah. I've already called him.
Oh, okay.
Or was that...
that one.
Have you pulled them up yet?
Oh, yeah. So
I don't want to read the phone number out.
It was okay.
Oh, you've already done that?
I've already called him. He told me about Yagan Square.
Perfect. Oh, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Zeppo's saying there are about 2,000 people watching from Yagan Square.
Oh, wow. We're aware that our time has stopped. We know that it's doing that.
Who cares at this point? Oh, we better put it back on.
A question.
It's back.
A question.
Yay.
Imagine the rarest eclipse gets covered by the clouds. I don't want to imagine that.
Well,
It's
it
not the
didn't happen.
rarest.
Oh, yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah. We're fine and we're safe and it worked.
We pray to the cloud gods.
We sacrificed a chicken and a flaming pentagram.
Hayden's answering questions for us in chat.
Oh, cool.
Last week I learned at the Gravity Discovery Center that you can use a box and stab a hole into the box with a pen to look at the eclipse.
That's it. That's
Hopefully
the whole
you
camera.
did that today.
I hope you did that and that you can come back with good eyes because you didn't go blind looking at the sun.
It's downloading some software now. I'm going to view it.
VLC.
Any wildlife
no, VLC,
reaction?
I just tried with VLC. I'm using auto stack it, so I'll look at being able to see the individual frames.
Well, you may auto stack it may have trouble because these are full frames.
It'll lag a bit.
It may not have enough memory.
I'll have a squeeze. How many frames are each file?
5.
5 frames.
Yeah.
Question: what part of the 13-year sun cycle are we currently on regarding sunflower?
It's an 11-year cycle.
Yep, 11 years, and I
11 years.
believe we're hitting
And we are
the peak.
approaching maximum, correct?
Yes.
We're just
we're
coming
hitting
up
the
to
peak.
solar maximum.
This has been a very peculiar cycle.
Yes.
Yes. Question: did we hear crickets go off? No,
No.
when we weren't able to, but we're also by
We heard
a
astronomers.
road. Yeah, we're by a road and with a large amount of people here. So if crickets did make noise, they may have been drowned out by the people and us ourselves as well. In primary school, they showed us a video saying Venus is hotter than Mercury, something about the atmosphere.
Correct.
Other places say Mercury is the hottest planet. Venus is the hottest planet because of its atmosphere. It's like the greenhouse effect,
This is my
but on a much larger scale.
Except for
You would think Mercury's hotter because it's
So
closer
we're
to the sun, but it is
broadcasting
not.
live, so we broadcast live to Yagan Square.
Almost over. Yes, we have less than an hour until the moon is completely moved off the sun, and then the eclipse is done.
I've just got to.
I wanted to look at it again, so sorry.
Announcements on there.
So I'm currently going through Joe Eisen's data.
We're hoping to get some, what is it, footage?
Yeah.
We're hoping to get some footage that was recorded by another astronomer here with us that we can put in onto the stream for you guys to see as well.
Next, just drive back.
Is that a good woe or a bad woe?
Good.
All right. Hang on a sec. I'm coming back.
Have a good one, guys.
I'm back.
Oh, big.
What's big?
Joe's frames.
Is it going to lag our stuff?
Shouldn't do.
Also, I was incorrect before.
No,
so
I
I'm
got
doing
them off.
the actual peak we hit on YouTube was 4.8 thousand.
If you can.
That's
email
all right.
us your
I
images
was
and
at one point I was.
But don't forget, we're streaming out to other
No, I know, but you
platforms that will be like.
Yeah, you'd asked me before how many.
Yes.
And I
So,
told you.
What we're going to do, folks, we're going to lose audio temporarily, but I'm going to show you guys an image that was taken by Professor Joe Eisen, who's over here with us. This is what he managed to capture through one of his telescopes. What you're going to see are some red filaments erupting from the limb of the sun. Those are solar prominence, and we also get to see the diamond ring effect around the 7 o'clock position.
One of them you can catch the chromosphere.
On one of them, you can catch the chromosphere. So that's the clearest frame. A lot of them got a lot of warp into them.
Pressing your eyes.
So that's
No, my eyes are open. I'm
Yeah.
just like staring.
And then, see that warping, or is that just from seeing conditions?
I think that was probably the telescope.
Oh, that's kind of creepy.
Yeah, I know.
Does Michelle know?
Yeah, I can.
Oh, okay. No, the
Yeah. I'll check the next file as well, but I'll flip this one over.
that weird comment asking if I was single.
That was
This is half a minute.
03 29
Okay. Yeah, we'll be funny.
That was the one you told me to check.
Yeah.
I'll go for the next one.
Yep.
Should we go for the 30s?
Take that.
Thanks.
Are we muted still?
No.
Okay.
Okay, that's good then. That means I can ask.
Answer
Yeah, let's answer some questions.
There
I will tell you.
There has been a question sent by Totally Not Stuart. Hey, what would the Leaning Tower of Gingin look like if it was on the sun? What would it look like, Rick, to Totally Not Stuart?
Okay, totally not Stuart. Smart ass.
We're streaming.
Oh, that's all right.
Just
So totally not Stuart. What would the leaning tower of Gingin look like on the surface of the sun? It'll be bright for a start. I'm sure it'll lose its structural cohesion after a few seconds and turn into a puddle of iron and then just disperse into its various atoms and elements. So yes, it's kind of crap. Oh, I've got 2 seconds. I'll be back.
Okay.
You can show one.
And then have to restart. I'll do that. I'll just restart it.
For people asking where we are in Exmouth, Western Australia. That's where the totality was for this eclipse on Australia.
Dealing with some
The minus 40-minute countdown is not counting till the eclipse. It is counting till the end of the eclipse. In 40 minutes, the moon will no longer be between the Earth and the Sun, and the eclipse will be officially over, and things will go back to normal.
Is it set? Sweet.
Question, when is the next solar eclipse in Australia?
In Australia?
Yeah.
Good question. I think the next one that we're getting is the one in Western Australia is 2028.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you want to go see that, start planning now. And because Western Australia is the road trip capital of the world, I suggest you start planning now, because it is literally in untouched wilderness in some, I wouldn't say wilderness, it is just untouched. It is just the most stark natural beauty you could ever encounter, and the geology around there is just, painfully old. And it's also very close to Lake Argyle, so, you can go to a wonderful place like Kununurra, and I think this happens in July in 2028. So the temperatures is going to be absolutely fantastic. That's the best time, the right time of the year. And this one will go for full 5 minutes, 5 minutes and 3 seconds, which will just be stunning. So eclipses vary from a couple of seconds to 7 minutes total. But this one's going to be one of the long ones, and it's just going to be incredible. So we're already making plans to go up there.
It is visible across most of Australia.
It is. It's just like it's replicating the Great American Eclipse, where it goes right across the Australian continent. So people in Sydney will be able to see it as well, but I reckon, to be honest, the best place to see it would be in Western Australia.
But you're not biased.
Look, Western Australia is an amazing state. The people are friendly, very, very, warm and friendly, and they're great.
I'll vouch for that.
So you vouch for that? Yeah, yes, of course, yes. But
not being held at gunpoint, we swear.
I want to take this opportunity now just to thank a couple of organisations. First and foremost, I want to thank WA Tourism for helping us get up here and to also be a part of the organisation, and the Department of Jobs, Tourism, Science and Innovation, JITSI. They did a lot of the heavy lifting for the organisation of this event and getting all the logistical matters, and it was a real privilege to actually help out, to be a consultant and help organise all of this. I also do want to make a special mention to the WA Space Forum. So we've got one of their representatives over here. In fact, she was the brainchild of the actual whole thing. I still remember having a coffee with her. This is Michelle. There she is, and still remember the inception of the whole thing. Since then it's grown to amazing proportions, and trying to get together all the space industries in Western Australia and actually make Western Australia an important space industrial complex. Working together to get the live stream at Yagan Square as well. That was an idea hatched up by Michelle, and we took the idea and ran with it, and actually the turnout to Yagan Square was insane, apparently. So a few thousand people there at least, and going absolutely nuts during totality. So that was a fantastic thing then, and we're really proud to have been able to bring that to the people of Perth in such a social environment as well, such as Yagan Square, and we're hoping to continue to do so in the future. So I've got to be interviewed again, but and I do apologise for me losing my lack of control of my emotions. I should have been more like Mr. Spock, and I'm in control of my emotions. But when you're faced with this hole in the sky, that just slaps you around the head, grabs you by the collar, and going, "Oi, look at this! and it it worked really well. So yeah, it couldn't have gone any better. So, and that's thanks to all my friends, colleagues, crew here. So yeah, it worked out spectacularly. So it was brilliant. Well done, everyone.
We had one question asking us if we can stream the after party. If you didn't like the language we used momentarily on the stream, you're not going to like the language we're going to use in our after party.
Oh, look, who gives a shit? Broadcast it.
No.
There you go. I said it. So what? It's a part of the modern day vernacular. And if anyone gets bent out of shape by a couple of swear words, honestly.
I had another question for you, which took me a bit to get to, so sorry. Someone wants to know if they can use this to prove to their friend that the Earth is not flat.
No, you know what you need? A baseball bat.
No, Rick.
No, right. Seriously, no, don't argue with flat earthers. You just won't. You cannot change their minds. Honestly, if they're dinkum, if they're serious about trying to understand, the Earth being round and all that kind of stuff, they will actually ask genuine questions and not try and threaten. Not so much threaten you, but talk in a very aggressive manner. What about this? What about that? And blah, blah, blah. If they're genuine about wanting to know whether it's flat or round, then they'll ask genuine, proper questions and then be receptive to those answers. If they say, well, how do you explain the horizon? How do you explain this? And then just fob you off or say, oh, I don't understand that, so therefore it doesn't work. You just give up. Seriously, there's no point.
Not.
But I still like arguing with them. It's hilarious.
Good fun.
It's great fun, yeah. Until they start graffitiing your toilets in the GDC. Whoever did that, we know where you live.
For people asking about a wildlife reaction, we couldn't hear very much, but that's because we're near a major road.
Oh, I saw some birds flying around looking a little confused, thinking, shh, I got to get home.
Okay.
It's turning dark. Oh, no, it's getting light again.
Rick was able to see some. From our vantage point, we can't see many birds. We can't hear any crickets even now that the sun's back up, but apparently there was here. And also someone in Perth, I think it was, also reported crickets and their rooster coming back as totality, or the highest point in Perth passed over.
I don't know. I'd consider astronomers to be animals, and that's wildlife.
Us animals made a lot of noise.
Lots of hooting.
Yeah, hooting, swearing.
Is our white light filter adding a little orange color to our image, or are we on hydrogen alpha?
No. So I will dispel this now. So I am using some false color. This is what the white light actually looks like. Okay. So there we go. It looks a bit pink. That there is the true color that's coming through the telescope. I haven't changed any colors. That's fair dinkum what it looks like. Why do I then lie to everyone and make it look like the sun? Well, because it's easier than explaining a pink sun.
Because pink stars don't exist. Yeah. They don't occur.
If you go, is this a pink eclipse? Is this? I get a lot of questions about things that don't exist. So if I just make it look like what most people think the sun looks like, it's just easier that way. So no, I'm not deliberately trying to trick you or fool you or hide something, as some people like to think. No, it's just so you don't ask silly questions about why is the sun pink, and then I've got to explain the physics behind solar filters.
No, this eclipse could not be seen in Uzbekistan. I'm so sorry, but thank you everyone from Uzbekistan for watching. The scout camp that we had last week called One Camper in the chat. Thank you very much for coming up and for watching. Does this phenomena, I'm assuming the eclipse, affect our ability to see the aurora borealis on Earth?
Does it affect our ability
to see the aurora borealis on Earth?
No.
Yes. No.
Unless you are standing in the line of totality during the eclipse and during aurora, no.
Yeah.
But even then, if you were on the line of totality during an aurora, it'd actually probably help you see aurora.
It'll be darker and easier to see.
Yeah, easier to see it.
Is it true in the far, far, far future, people won't be able to see an eclipse/lunar eclipse? In the far, far, far future, we won't be able to get total solar eclipses because the moon is slowly drifting back. Do you remember the rate? At what rate? Is it 2 centimeters a year or 2 millimeters a year?
I'd have to look up the exact number, but it is slowly drifting.
The moon very, very slowly drifts away from Earth, and in hundreds of thousands of years, it would have drifted out far enough that kind of the perfect lining up in ratios of sun, moon, Earth will mean that we will no longer get a total solar eclipse, yes. But that is not a problem for any of us to worry about. We get to see total solar eclipses just fine. No, our moon is not an alien base. We've asked that about 20 times. Do pink stars occur instead, because instead of the standard hydrogen and helium process, it uses the rare Schweppes effect to undergo hydrogen to pink lemonade transformation?
Sure.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yes.
Cool.
Why not?
Tell me how that one was.
I have just been informed by text message. The moon moves back at roughly 4 centimeters a year. Thank you very much, Stuart. I'm very happy we have our entire staff at the observatory watching the stream. It means I get a direct text message reply to every question I
Beautiful.
ask.
I love it. Thanks for
know.
the help, guys.
Thank you,
Wish you
Zoe
could be here with us.
and Stuart and Hayden. Thank you all very much for the assistance. I could probably Google with the double phones, but this is easier.
I'm busy trying to get Joe's pictures visible.
Good luck. We've still got 1,500 people watching, so thank you very much all for tuning in. We've got just about half an hour left, and then the eclipse is over.
I have to keep checking now that no one's complaining about the clock.
I'm doing it. I've got that. It's what the 2 phones in my hands are for.
Yeah. Apologies on the delay for showing you some of Joe's starters, folks. We've just had to download some new software to get all of that visible.
It's a very large file.
The problem is I could view the software, but the stream would also crash because my computer would melt in the process. So we're just trying to find a little bit of an easier way to massage the information out and not crash the stream at the same time.
And if we're unable to get that, I'm sure we can figure out a way to get it posted somewhere, Mitch.
Yes.
Yes. So if we're not able to get it, if you guys keep an eye on our Facebook page, and we'll even try to post a link on YouTube, and you can see it.
101 years ago.
Can I ask that question, the please show question? Want to get your opinion first.
Sugar kale. Okay. Yep.
Someone has asked, please show what beers you're drinking.
I'm going to get a lot of hate for this.
We're a classic Australian group
We are
here.
classic Western Australia, and we are
Emu
drinking Emu
Export.
Export.
Emu Export. And
Andrew,
wine.
what are you drinking?
Andrew, what?
Little Creatures Pale.
Nice.
Joe was also drinking Emu Export. I think
What have
Rick
you
and
guys? What have you guys?
We got Heineken.
And
I've got
Heineken's,
Heineken.
and I've been on the rosé personally. Oh yes, everyone, listen to the other Richard in the chat, who's not our boss Richard, but a different one. Click likes, follow the channel, be nice to
Yes, if you guys like these kind of streams, we do
them.
nighttime streams as well with our live sky astronomy. So if you're into that kind of stuff, hell, if you follow some of the other big astro guys on YouTube, people like Chuck's Astrophotography, you love his solar streams or his star party streams, give us a sub. We do very similar content.
Yep, hit the little bell.
And we've got the advantage of being down here in the southern hemisphere. So a lot of you guys up north, we can show you a lot of stuff that you don't normally get a chance to see because of your latitude.
Yes, and where we would stream from is also, it's at work, right?
Yes.
We also stream from our observatory, which is quite far away from an actual city, so we can get quite dark skies as well. So yeah, if you are interested in astronomy-based streams and asking questions and things like that, I recommend you like the stream, follow the, subscribe to the channel, like our Facebook page as well. Just received a text from my grandma. Thanks, Grandma. Have to give my grandma a call out. I can't not. It's my grandma. When is the next lunar eclipse? Do you know that, Mitch? I will find that out. I'll Google it, Mitch.
All right.
I got 2 phones. Again, there's a lot of dates, lots of times. Hard to remember them all.
What is really
Next lunar eclipse. Okay, the next one. Oh no, wait a minute. Let's find it in general. The next lunar eclipse is a penumbral lunar eclipse, which is, where is it visible? It will be, oh god, a lot of different areas. All of Australia actually will get a part of it, but it's a penumbral one, so it's a bit fainter, and that is the 5th and 6th of May. That's what I've got.
Just go to the toilet because I've been holding it since the start of the stream.
Please go.
3 or 4 points in there.
I'm answering. I'm just googling. Let me figure that out. Okay. I had a question asking why is the moon slowly drifting away from us? It has to do with our rotation. As we wobble, it can change the speed of the moon's orbit, which can lead to it slowly moving away. And it is at 3.78 centimeters every year the moon will move away. None of us will notice a distance or a change in the moon, but in hundreds of thousands of years, people will. Where is our observatory? Our observatory is near Perth, Western Australia. It is called the Gravity Discovery Centre and Observatory. We're located about an hour north of Perth. I am getting toasty. I'm not gonna lie. Even I, born on the surface of the sun, am susceptible, so I am going to cover my faces just a little bit.
Well, I mean, the moon's not covering it up anymore.
That's true. As
burning.
the moon is leaving the surface of between, the blocking the surface of the sun, it's getting a lot brighter and a lot warmer here.
Mm.
And yes, we can see the Milky Way galaxy with our naked eyes from Western Australia. You're from Melbourne. If you move far away out of Melbourne and you go on a bit of a road trip, you will still be able to see it then as well. Did the camera record at a higher frames per second than our live stream? Depends on what.
Yes. So the live stream is. Oh no, sorry. No, it did not. The live stream is currently sitting at 30 frames per second at 1080p. The camera records at a much higher resolution, but at a much slower frame rate, just because of the size of those files. They're really, really, really hard to buffer, even at USB 3 speeds.
If a cloud went in front of the eclipse, would the sun's last heat evaporate it? No. That's why the sun, like right now, thankfully it's clear, but if there were clouds, the sun doesn't evaporate clouds. The sun causes clouds in a roundabout way.
Yeah.
But no, the
sun removes clouds, you'd never see them during the day.
Yeah.
We'll put it like that.
But no, we would still, if it clouded over, we would still have clouds, which mercifully, there is actually not a single cloud in the sky anymore, which when we woke up this morning, there was a few coming in. But thankfully they're gone.
Stark contrast to the entire mentality I came into this trip with.
I know. That's the thing. Expect clouds. Be happy when they're not there.
Expect it to be 100% cloudy and be pleasantly surprised.
Yes. It's better than expecting it clear, having clouds, and being very sad. What caused the burst of light on the left side of the disk just before totality?
So that was me getting camera settings adjusted at the last second. So it wasn't actually a phenomenon with the sun itself. That burst was purely just the delay between Michelle removing filters, possibly a bit of internal reflection as she's moved. The side of the filter itself is a metal ring. So it could have been diffraction and a number of things and me fiddling with the camera settings. It's not actually anything to do with the sun itself.
Because we have to adjust it there. Do we have an image of the diamond effect?
So Joe Eisen has
trying
given
to
us one.
get that.
I'm trying to get the data to show. It's just massive files.
Yeah.
Please bear with me.
Are there no clouds because the sun evaporated them?
No.
There are no clouds because we got very lucky. If the sun evaporated clouds, there would be no clouds in the
A very
day.
important job.
Yes.
Can you get a beer for me, I'm asking?
So yeah, we will get a photo of the diamond effect up as soon as we can. We're just trying to get the files to work.
I am processing data as we speak.
Yes.
That was an incredible experience.
That was.
That was great.
That was
Still,
yeah.
26.
I've stopped my little. Oh, you were
My
gone.
man.
I had a little.
Oh yeah,
I
you.
had a little for a few minutes after. Thanks for
Astronomy.
Still processing.
Yeah.
So how was the experience?
We've got Hayden and Zoe and Stuart in the chat.
Nice.
And then Hayden and Stuart texting me answers to anything that I haven't got the
Oh,
exact
cool.
number for.
Oh, that's great.
I know, it's very
Google
helpful.
team on standby.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
That's why
I will say, I don't envy you running around doing all those interviews. I'm quite comfortable sitting in here.
Yeah.
you're
Well,
just getting interviewed by me when I don't know the answer.
Yeah.
I just I had to run down to Channel 7 down in the main viewing area.
Yeah, I got the phone call and you'd left, and then I tried to do a loop to see where you were at.
Yeah, because I got in trying to look for him, then I saw the cameraman going, quick, and I just sprinted over.
That you're on your way.
Yeah. And then from there it's like,
Did it
jeez.
already happen? Yes.
20 minutes past something. I got to run to Channel 9. And sprinted up to Channel 9, got there like, but yeah, I managed to catch my breath fairly quick, which was good.
Someone's coming. ¿Cómo estás? Muy bien. ¿Y tú?
Okay. Yes, if you go to the satellite view on the Bureau of Meteorology page, the Himawari 8 satellite, you can actually see the shadow of the Earth. The shadow of the moon moving across the Earth. We can get it up again, but if not, check out the Bureau of Meteorology Facebook website. Well, actually, they have posted it on their Twitter account, so you could probably see it on their Facebook as well.
Yep.
Why is the moon slowly drifting away from us? It is related to the wobble of the...
It's related just to the motion of the moon and the rotation of the Earth.
As our rotational speed slightly varies, it makes the moon slightly vary, and it ends up, over time, drifting away.
So you got different rates of tracking. So the moon is moving from in retrograde, so it's slowly drifting to the east. That's why it rises later and later and later each night. So it's moving in that general direction from west to east. What I'm trying to say here, and of course the rotation of the Earth is from west to east as well, but we seem to be going a little bit faster. So there's a different rate where we see the sun moving across the sky and the moon moving across the sky. So you've got solar and lunar tracking rates. So it's just this difference of orbital speeds, really, or rotational speeds for Earth. So yeah, that's it. It just moves across, and like I said, in 2028, it's going to be 5 minutes, baby. It's going to be awesome. So certainly looking forward to that.
We won't rewind the live stream for you guys to see the shadow on the Earth, but you can definitely do that if you wish.
Yep. What's the time? All right.
We've got 19 minutes left.
19 minutes. Yep. Cool. And we take our time packing, and we get away when we get away, because
that's not looking great. Yeah.
There's a lot of people moving, and I think the reason why people are slowing down because it's a 60k zone out there.
Yeah.
And also because people are starting to move out of the eclipse area. So
There's going to be bottlenecks all over the place.
Yeah.
So we just take our time.
Take it cruisy.
Yep.
Thank you, Hayden, for assisting with the rotation, with the distance of the moon. Question. What were our ZWO camera cooler settings?
So we are not cooling for any of this.
That's why the shade around the telescope is very big. No.
So part of the reason that we have the shade is, one, to keep direct sunlight off the cameras.
Yeah.
That's important. Two, the way that TECs work, or thermoelectric coolers, is a little chip. One side of it gets cold and the other side of it gets hot. So if the hot side, which is out-facing, is also being heated by the sun, it can cause the camera to cook and just not be good. So we didn't cool the cameras at all for this, because we're not using incredibly high gain. What we're looking at is incredibly bright, so we haven't got to worry about the noise floor.
Can they see any of this eclipse from the Northern Territory?
Yes.
How much, roughly? Do you know off the top of your head?
No.
Coverage? Okay, we don't know what coverage, but yes, you would be able to see. You would need to have eclipse glasses, though. You're not going to see totality, so you need to have either eclipse glasses or make a pinhole camera, so you're able to see it. But yes, because on the satellite view, you can see the shadow going over the Northern Territory. If the satellite view shows the shadow, then yes, you can see part of the eclipse. But again, not looking directly at it. Don't know if you guys would find them, but if you have glasses like this, that's safe to look through. Or NASA has a tutorial essentially on how to make a pinhole camera, which is the safe option.
So I've got currently on the screen a track map for the entirety of the eclipse. So you can see this dark line in the middle passes over the peninsula of Exmouth itself. And then as you move away from that, you see more or less and less of an eclipse. So over in Sydney, those guys were getting, if I can get a click on this. So Sydney, you guys are getting about 9.7%. If you're out, say, near Alice Springs, Northern Territory, you're going to get about 45%. If you guys were down in Perth, 70%. If you guys were around Carnarvon, 89%. Up near Darwin Way, 80%. Beagle Bay, 90%. So that gives you a bit of a rough idea of exactly the coverage we were looking at across the entirety of Australia. Now, if we zoom out a bit and have a look globally, if you are within that banding at all, even parts of New Zealand, they will get to see a 1.52% of the eclipse. So yeah, is visible as far east as New Zealand, but that's kind of where the buck stops. If we've got any fans up in Japan, they might even just be able to grab a smidge. I wouldn't say much, but you know, 0.3.
But again, not looking directly at it.
Not looking directly at it. 0.62% from places in Japan.
Ooh, wow.
As far west, not quite at Madagascar. Malaysia, they're getting at about 0.6%.
Hey, I just
Oh, yes.
I just heard that our signal actually made it to the Shanghai Planetarium.
Oh,
It did.
And there were
nice.
thousands of people from China actually watching our live stream
Fantastic.
as it happened. So yeah, we were talking to Yao. She was just over there,
Yes.
and they apparently got some great images
Oh,
of the
perfect.
They were very emotional after it.
Yeah.
Were
I
they?
will say there was a lot of hugging and crying.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was a very emotional event.
that's good.
That's beautiful.
Which it took a lot of self-control for me not to cry.
Yeah.
I tried really hard.
So that's good to know that our signal got out there. Oh, just a quick thing. If anyone from SciTech is out there, how did our signal go out to Singapore Science Centre? That'll be really good to know. If you could just flick us a text or flick us a message on the chat room.
Put it
here,
in
that'll be
YouTube,
great.
I'll read it.
Yep, that'll be brilliant to know. So yeah, we're really riding on a high here. So
What software or hardware are we using to produce this stream? I believe we're using Streamlabs, aren't we?
Yep, so
Yeah,
Streamlabs, OBS.
Streamlabs and OBS.
Yeah, all the camera capture software is SharpCap Pro.
Yep.
And I've got a Dell G15 gaming laptop. That's it.
Yep.
Got a GTX 4050 in it, 8 gig of RAM and an i5. Nothing
Nice.
crazy, guys.
Yeah, we couldn't bring, a full PC up here on account of it being
Dusty.
quite isolated and a bit dusty, yeah. Just slowing down on questions, so we'll just be a little bit. In 2006, why did we decide that Pluto was not a planet? Because we reclassified things between planets and dwarf planets. And Pluto did not meet all the requirements to be a planet. There was a lot of other things out in Pluto's orbit around the same size as Pluto. And because of that reason, Pluto became a dwarf planet instead of a planet. And we have multiple dwarf planets other than just Pluto, but Pluto is the one we know the most about because a lot of us got taught at school that Pluto is a planet. But we reclassified and now it is a dwarf planet. Thank you everyone from America for watching. Thank you very much.
Yeah, for everyone tuning around the world, thank you very much for tuning in, guys. We hope you've enjoyed yourselves. It's been an absolute pleasure being here with everyone and bringing this event to you guys live.
Yeah, we've got 13.5 minutes. Is it getting hotter in Exmouth as the eclipse ends?
Yes, it's quite warm now.
When we started, it was a bit earlier in the morning, so it was a bit cooler. As the eclipse took over, I had to put a jacket on. The jacket is now covering my legs from getting a sunburn, and it is getting quite toasty out here now. I'll actually check the exact temperature for you guys while we're here.
So I think what we'll do is we've still got about 1,300 people watching. We'll use these last 12 minutes or so. If you guys have got any last questions for us here or the rest of the team, please send them through. We'll endeavour to punch through as many as we can. And then, come C4, I think it's time for us to celebrate and wind down for a little bit. It's been a long morning.
It's about 28 degrees Celsius here currently. Yeah, I got a question if we can share any Aboriginal eclipse stories. No, not in this area, and none of us are permitted to share stories from this region.
We do not have permission to do that.
If you are by any chance in the Perth area, we recommend you come across to one of our Aboriginal astronomy evenings at the Gravity Discovery Centre, where we have a Noongar elder, Dr. Noel Nannup, present. But as for us here on the stream, none of us are really in the position to share any of those stories, and we're also on entirely different Aboriginal land now, so we definitely don't want to cross on any toes or anything like that. Please don't get sunburn on our faces. I think it's a little bit late for that. Could you feasibly chase the tail of the eclipse in order to artificially extend the moment of totality, like
Yes.
sailing west? Yes, the Concorde did that in 1973, I believe. They got it for 74 minutes. Going to be honest, my coworker Hayden told me that about 45 minutes ago. So that, I only just learnt that myself. But yes, you can. If you're in a plane flying fast enough, you could follow it. Same with, I guess, a boat in the ocean, but you can follow it. You've got a tech guy, Mitch, who really likes hearing your tech talk. You've done really good.
Linus Tech Tips.
Yeah.
No. LTTstore.com. Nice work on the broadcast.
It's back to normal daylight in Perth now as well. I've just received an update.
Great here to tech. Oh, yeah.
How long was the total eclipse period? 1 minute and 2 seconds. So 62 seconds of totality here. C4 is 11 minutes away.
Let's pack up, get everything away, and then we head off when we head off, and that's it.
I'm trying to figure out who HH is in chat, but thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Yeah. No, thank you very much, HH. We appreciate that.
We appreciate you answering questions and also actually doing a pretty decent job at trying to control some of the chat. I do appreciate that. On neither of these phones do I have the actual YouTube channel to ban anyone.
Yeah.
So thank you for your help there.
Thank you, and hello to the guys over watching in New Zealand.
Thank you.
We leave at 2, get there at 5.
Are we camping up at 5?
Hey?
Are we going to camp at 5?
Yeah, we'll see where we can get to.
Yeah, I feel like we could push it another few hours, because 5 is like...
Hi everyone from the
It's basically
GDC.
12
Great
hours
stream
drive away.
today. Managed to get myself a few dodgy photos myself, but it's far better to watch the professionals from Jed. Thank you very much, Jed.
You will get some nice professional photos up on our Facebook page in the coming days as well, once we get time to do that. I've actually received a question from my brother. Does it take longer for the moon to leave, or does it just feel like it is? Just feels like it is.
It just feels like it.
It's like the trip back feels like it takes a lot longer than the trip there. It's the exact same timing. If it took longer one way or the other, I think something's going a bit wrong in the orbits.
Oh.
How long have we been working for the GDC? I've been 4 years as of last Thursday, actually. So 4 years last week.
About 3 and a bit.
Yep, our tech man Mitch has been 3 years. Rick, how long ago did you start at the GDC?
Who?
You.
Me?
Yep.
I started in October 2015.
So he's 2015, which is what, 8 years?
Close to
Seven and a
about
half,
that,
8 years. How long have you been here?
I've been here for about 1 and a bit.
About 1 year,
One and a
yeah.
bit.
And then the other people with us aren't employees, so I can't give those.
Well, Andrew's
on the board.
Andrew's
You're
one
on
of
board.
our
I
board
always
members.
forget that.
Yeah, he's one of our
How long have
He's
you been
not
a... I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. How long have you been a board member? 8 years for Andrew being our board member. I'm so glad you found our stream entertaining. Thank you so much. With the 2028 eclipse, how much will be seen from Karatha? As someone from Karatha myself, good question.
I don't have that information on hand.
We don't have that right.
I will wait for time and date to spit out the track maps and give you an idea then.
When it gets closer to, check a website, timeanddate.com, and you can put in 2028 eclipse. People will calculate it
I
for
was going
us.
to say, anyone who was watching the live stream from timeanddate.com, it was coming to you guys from right there. Just there is Perth Observatory.
Oh, they're the time and date.
Those guys are streaming over to Time and Date. We're set up just over here. Over there again, we've got Joe with his gear on the far side. We've got Andrew, one of our board members, with his gear on the near side. Here's our setup. There's Beck. And
Oh yeah, show your hovel. You haven't shown your
this is what
goblet
I've
hole
been
yet.
working in. So we've got a little box
Yep.
with some monitors and stuff in here, and I've been controlling everything inside there.
I extracted the,
You managed to get a single frame out?
I got a few of them. So
Beautiful.
Look for TIFF files
TIFFs.
in the main directory of the zip drive.
Fantastic, guys. So we might have some more photos coming over
Oh,
from Joe
perfect.
Send you.
now. Email.
Mitch at the rest of our
Yeah,
email address.
Mitch-
I'm not going to read the rest of our
Yeah.
email address on
Please don't read
stream.
the rest of my email.
I'm not going to dox you. It's Mitch and then the rest of the email. Thank you to CAG3891 for saying our stream was better than NASA's. Thank you.
Yeah, I
And
was
also-
only aware last night that NASA had a stream in the
That's
area.
high
Also-
praise.
I thought
That's
you
pretty
said
good.
I should read that last night. And time.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much. Richard Noling, who's been in our chat for actually most of this, thank you very much for complimenting the little cubby that Mitch has there in front of him. That was, I believe Rick built that actually.
Yep, Rick put that together for me.
Rick built that.
Affectionately referred to as the Goblin Hobble.
Yes. Will our stream be available? Will our live stream be available to view after it's ended?
Hell yeah.
Yes. Yes, it is saved to
Yes.
YouTube.
It will be archived on our YouTube channel, yes. So you should subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
No, thank you. There's actually a lot of names in this that I've seen through the majority of the stream. So for everyone who's actually stuck around for the entire almost 3-hour endeavor, thank you very much for the support. We appreciate it.
6, 7, 9, and then I'll have a frame.
Yes. Please didn't put stuff on that.
Yeah, good plan.
Oh, fantastic.
Oh, did we get it?
Okay, yeah, we got some from Joe.
We're going to have some footage, is it?
No,
No.
some stills.
Stills. We're going to have... There isn't much content on our YouTube channel yet because we're kind of getting into the routine of using it now, but we are going to be doing live sky astronomy streams. So we'll be streaming nighttime as well. So if you enjoy our streams like this, subscribe, keep an eye on our YouTube and our Facebook as well.
So these are some of the photographs taken by Joe during totality. We can see here these red little bands peeking up around the side. Those are some of the prominence erupting from the limb of the sun. And down here we get that diamond ring effect. Now you can see, if I zoom in nice and close here, a lot of that streaming corona coming from the outer atmosphere of the sun.
Look at that magnetic loop.
Massive. Absolutely massive.
Can you send that through to us? Because
I've got the data.
Oh, right. Mitch has it.
I've got the data.
Right, yeah. Do we still have audio right now? Should we?
No, we still got audio.
Okay, perfect. Just because it played up a couple
If
of
we come down here, we have a look at that diamond ring. Again, you can see a lot of the coronal streams coming off the base of that there.
Yeah, no, so it's that timer that you guys were able to see. I believe it's -3 minutes now. That is not the countdown to totality. That is the countdown to kind of the opposite.
Totality.
Yeah, the opposite of totality.
gone.
Yeah, when that timer hits 0, the moon will no longer be obscuring the sun at all and the eclipse will be over. But if you showed up late and you missed the actual eclipse itself, if you go back about an hour and a half on our stream, you'll be able to see the footage from it then.
You can also see the surface of the moon. Look at you can see the valleys. And
Yeah, you can see a lot of the
That's so cool.
peaks.
This stream is currently taking place in Exmouth, Western Australia. For anyone asking what internet connection we're using for this stream, we are using Telstra. Both of the phones I've been reading are on Telstra, and so is the hardwire internet that
We've
we
been
have.
graciously allowed to connect directly to
Into
a
the-
fiber
yeah.
node, specifically prepared for this event.
Yes.
To allow us the bandwidth in such a remote location to be able to pull this off.
Yes, if we were doing this just off of phone hotspots, it would not have gone smoothly at all. So thank you very much to Telstra for the literally hardwired internet connection. And we also have the spot closest to the towers. Aiden Crisp again.
Yep.
Hey, what's the coronal heating problem?
I would love to give you an answer to the coronal heating problem, but as the name suggests, it is a problem, and there is yet to be a coronal heating solution.
We don't know yet.
To explain in broad terms the coronal heating problem, if I blow up Joe's...
Our time has stopped again.
That's okay.
Okay, well, just because we're almost done, might want the timer going.
Don't worry, it's not going to be a hard cut.
No, I know. We're not going to
To
immediately
explain the coronal heating problem, basically, the corona of the sun is what we were seeing at totality, that ring of fire around the full exterior, more visible with the naked eye. That is the outer atmosphere of the sun. And for some reason, the corona of the sun is hotter than the chromosphere, the surface of the sun. And we have no idea why. No idea why. You'd expect that as you move further and further away from the sun, it would get cooler, but that is not the case. So this is still an unsolved problem in modern astrophysics. If anyone thinks, oh, surely it's this way, surely it's that way,
We've thought of it.
then there wouldn't be a problem anymore. There'd be a solution. So it's not as easy as you think it is. If you want to crack this, go study astrophysics.
Well, according to Andrew, it's all plasma.
Plasma.
Magnetic field.
Yeah.
Our camera is currently centered. That little blip blocked off to the side is actually the shadow of the moon. So
Yes.
it is perfectly centered. Yeah, it's not the camera cutting it
I
down.
might just zoom in on the final moments we have.
Yes. How many
capture the
degrees is it
moment of-
here? It's currently 28. What link is supplying the timer? We're using a program, I believe.
Yes, the timer is a piece of software called Eclipse Orchestrator.
Eclipse Orchestrator is the countdown timer that we've been using. How do we know the corona's hotter?
Because we flew the Parker Solar Probe through it, and it was hotter.
Yeah. What?
Skip that one.
Yeah, I thought so.
Because that's a slippery slope.
Yeah, I agree. Yep. We're in less than a minute 30 now of this. What do you mean by the sun closes completely? If you mean covered completely, that is finished already.
Let's see, 4-time rule.
Yeah, less than a minute.
It's almost over.
Anyone has any final questions? Now's kind of the time to get them in. We won't immediately turn off the stream when that timer hits 0, but we will have to start packing up to leave fairly soon. So, what comes after C4? Nothing. We are back in normal time. C4 is when the last shadow of the moon is gone from the sun. So when that hits 0, no shadow of the moon, no moon is obscuring the sun anymore. So it'll be regular time.
It's very easy.
You didn't notice any darkness in Perth. You definitely would have if you were outside. I believe Perth was 70% obscure.
Oh, right.
I
Wow.
liked the solar eclipse. I don't want it to end. Us either.
Okay, so what we're going to switch to now, guys. So Michelle has just sent me through some photos of Yagan Square in Perth itself. And this is some of the crowd who were out there today watching the event on the giant screen. So I'm pretty chuffed with that. I don't know about you guys. I'm pretty happy with that. I'm pretty damn happy with that. About 2,000 people were at the square to watch the event.
Wait, I can watch it on the stream when it comes up.
Yeah.
Ooh, our time is broken. Oh, because it's
Our time is gone. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Ooh, how many monitors are we using to keep track of our windows? 2.
2.
We have a laptop and then an
I'm
extra monitor.
struggling violently between Streamlabs and making sure. So every time that timer disappears, I've just accidentally minimized the window.
And so the reason the clock has stopped now because it's finished. The reason the timer has now stopped counting is because we are out of C4. There's no more shadow obscuring, no more moon obscuring the sun anymore, so the timer has nothing to count down till anymore. Thank you everyone in the stream for the support.
Okay, so for those wondering what the setup in the Goblin Hovel looks like, a bit like that.
Oh, did you have a photo?
Yeah, Michelle grabbed a photo of the side for me.
Perfect.
And what does our equipment look like from the other side? That's what we're running. You can see there's a little box that I'm living inside of, and there's our 2 instruments. Now, this was taken this morning before we got everything kicked off, hence why there's a cap on the hydrogen alpha telescope.
Yes.
Yeah, so you can see on the front of the telescope here, there's the white light filter. So just at the moment of totality, Michelle jumped up, ripped this thing off, and let through the light of the corona.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Thank you everyone for watching our stream, especially for the few of you whose names I've seen literally this entire time.
Is he busy? Richard. Richard.
Do we need him to do the sign off?
We're going to do a big group sign off.
We'll get the actual boss to do the proper sign off. But as a person who's been reading the YouTube chat all day, thank you everyone for being in here, especially the ones that have been here all day.
All right. Give me 1 second.
Do the big sign off. Okay, everyone gather in. Everyone gather in.
1 second. I'm going to do a thing.
Oh, he's doing a thing.
Doing a thing.
Finally, the thing.
Give me 2 seconds.
And thank you to our actual staff members who have been helping by texting me answers for questions, and
Thanks,
also
guys.
for replying in the chat as well. I do appreciate it.
Come in.
Alrighty. So I'll get my ugly mug back in here somewhere.
Here we go.
Oh, I don't want to be in.
So everyone who's been tuning into to the Eclipse event from Shanghai to Singapore to all around the world and locally in Perth, Western Australia, we thank you very much for looking at what we had to offer, joining in this amazing experience with us. And I couldn't have done it with these fantastic bunch of people around me, and also back at the Gravity Discovery Center. So you guys are just awesome, the best team ever. So from here, we're just going to say thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day. This is something you'll remember for the rest of your life. So until then, clear skies, Hail Sagan, and we will see you on the next Live Sky Astronomy.